Phoenix Knights. Chapter 862. Zhao Feng's voice made the kings feel as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders, and the terrifying aura that had shocked everyone started to quickly fade. In the divine illusion dimension, the purple-haired demonic duo always worked together. Apart from Zhao Feng, it was hard to find a second person who could stop Nan Gongxing, whose battle power was overwhelming. Hearing that voice, Nan Gongxing's aura started to fade, and the cruel expression on his face became much warmer. Shua! Nan Gongxing turned into a blurry silver and purple blur, and charged into the God's Array building at a terrifying speed. Most people couldn't even see where Nan Gongxing was moving. Pun! Pun! The hearts of the kings within the God's Array building tensed up, and they felt extremely pressured. One had to know, Nan Gongxing had the terrifying strength to instantly kill Peter kings. Even emperors might not be his match. Jiao Wuji's battle power was already comparable to an emperor's. Apart from Xian Yuanwen, there was a chance that Nan Gongxing could instantly kill everyone else. Whoosh! Nan Gongxing's blur closed in on the purple-haired youth within the God's Array building. Brother Feng! Zhao Yufei's expression changed slightly, and she started to worry for some reason. There was no other reason than that Nan Gongxing's current personality and strength had surpassed common sense. Whether or not he would be the same Nan Gongxing after inheriting the power of the evil god remained to be seen. Shua! The silver and purple blur paused, and Nan Gongxing appeared next to Zhao Feng. Just like before, the two stood side by side, forming the demonic duo. Who the kings present couldn't help but let out a long breath. Luckily, Nan Gongxing hasn't completely lost control. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge broke out in cold sweat. However, everyone looked at the demonic duo with wariness in their eyes. Nan Gongxing, one of the demonic duo, used his terrifying strength to scare everyone present. He was cold and bloodthirsty, and his unrestrained killing made others tremble. One of the demonic duo, Zhao Feng, had a deep gaze and a calm expression. Until now. This youth was still shrouded in thick fog, mysterious and unfathomable, making it impossible to see through him. However, those who had witnessed his attacks against the blue WYRM King and the black WYRM King would never forget it. At that time, this young man had almost killed the 9th and 10th ranked Blue Serpent King on the Imperial ranking. As a result, the blue WYRM King and the black WYRM King still didn't dare to show themselves. Nan Gongxing, do you have a way to break the forbidden array within the God's Array building? Zhao Feng suddenly spoke. In the past few days, he had been waiting for Nan Gongxing, waiting for a possibility. In the present, the God's Formation Spire would be difficult to break in a short period of time, and no one would be able to use it. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would enter Xieyang Palace within 10 days. In the face of this common enemy of death, Zhao Feng had no choice but to cooperate with the others and leave a way for himself to escape. Zhao Feng's words caused the kings present to be astonished. Could it be that Nan Gongxing also knew arrays? Looking at how cruel and bloodthirsty this child was, he didn't seem like such a person. That's why I'm here. Nan Gongxing's expression was indifferent as he scanned over the terrified kings, including the hateful gazes of those from the same clan who had been killed. His gaze was cold, as if he was looking down on ants, looking down on the common people. Only when his gaze landed on the purple-haired youth next to him did a complicated look flash through Nan Gongxing's eyes. Nan Gongxing couldn't understand why this youth could remain so calm in front of his terrifying power. Senior Marshal Brother Nan Gongxing, do you know how to break it? Zhao Yufei asked with joy. There were only 10 days left for everyone to catch their breath. Under the threat of death, everyone had the desire to win. I have the rough diagram of the God's Array core here, and we can fix it. As for controlling this God's Array, don't even think about it unless you've reached the level of a demigod. Nan Gongxing said expressionlessly. Hearing that, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge and company revealed joyful expressions. After all, the God's Forbidden Array was the domain of gods. How could mortals control it so easily? No wonder the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was so disdainful, even though it knew their plan. If we can fix the god's array core, we can at least temporarily resolve the danger, an array master from the Imperials said. Nangongxing immediately closed his eyes and sent a rough diagram of the array to Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge with his divine sense. A while later, the few people who were responsible for deciphering the divine formation had all obtained the principles of the formation diagram. Exquisite! As expected of the god's forbidden array. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge and the other array masters couldn't help but sigh as they revealed a look of passion. Of course, even after obtaining the diagram, it would still take some time to fix it. Time passed by. The shadow of death that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon brought slowly approached and covered all living beings within Xieyang Palace. Xieyang Palace was deathly silent. Some of the natives within the palace felt the aura of disaster and started to tremble uneasily. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, the amount of time the beings within the palace had left to breathe became less and less. Roar! Pun! Pun! Boom! Boom! Outside Xieyang Palace, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's black-scaled body was smashing against the god's forbidden array. The light from the god's forbidden array had dimmed by more than half. Every time the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon smashed into it, a large hole would appear. If it was a normal human or beast, they would be able to enter Xieyang Palace. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was too big, and normal holes weren't big enough for it to enter. The god's forbidden array's self-recovery ability was still there, and the damaged areas of the array would quickly recover. There's only 5 days left. All of you will turn to dust under the rage of the destruction race. The roar of a dragon resounded across Xieyang Palace. No one knew when. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's head could barely reach into Xieyang Palace. In an instant, all the beings within Xieyang Palace felt a chaotic aura that could destroy heaven and earth. Within the God's Array building, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, Xian Wuheng, and company used every second they had to study the structure of the array. Whoosh! At the edge of Xieyang Palace, 2 figures landed in an area where cracks would occasionally appear. One was a purple-haired youth, and the other was a purple and blood-haired youth. And there are many flaws in the array here. At a critical moment, we can use it as a place to escape. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. After saying that, he raised the substandard god arm guard in his hand and lightly pointed at where he was standing. When a layer of silver light appeared on the surface of the arm guard and spun around before quickly shrinking into a dot of black light and disappearing. There was still a faint disturbance in space that slowly calmed down. Success. Zhao Feng's senses merged into the substandard god arm guard, and he found that there was a very clear dot of black light. So, Zhao Feng used the misty spatial world to locate it. This spatial marker can only be used in the divine illusion dimension. It can't be used in the continent zone. After all, the divine illusion dimension is constantly moving, and it overlaps with the continent once every 100 years. Nangongxing warned. The slightest difference in teleportation could result in a distance of billions of miles, and one might even be sent to another dimension. The most likely outcome was getting lost in the chaotic flow of space, which was equivalent to death. I understand. If it's a spatial marker in the continent zone, I can directly teleport back in the divine illusion dimension. After all, the continent zone's geography is fixed. Zhao Feng sighed. If the divine illusion dimension wasn't constantly moving, then as long as he left a spatial marker here, he would be able to return to the divine illusion dimension in the future. In the next day or two, Zhao Feng and Nangongxing would occasionally appear in a corner outside of Xieyang Palace. In order to leave a path of retreat, Zhao Feng had set up a total of 19 spatial markers. Although I'm not very strong, I should be able to teleport through this area. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. If you're not strong enough, there's still me. A wicked and confident smile appeared on Nangongxing's face. His strength could be said to be the strongest amongst the outsiders of Xieyang Palace, and he also had the power of space. That's good. Zhao Feng paused for a moment and felt that Nan Gongxing's personality had changed. Although Nan Gongxing's personality wasn't completely twisted, his personality had changed quite a bit. For example, he had become cruel and bloodthirsty. Time flew by. Xieyang Palace, God's Array Building. There's only 3 days left. The geniuses and kings outside the Array Building were all uneasy. The shadow of death came closer and closer, and they could hear the roars of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. The last 3 days, whooping boom. The god's forbidden array outside of Xieyang Palace was extremely dim, as if it could shatter at any moment. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon might charge in at any moment in the next 3 days. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge took a deep breath. Almost there. Let's first identify the 2 biggest flaws and establish a formation to transform and transfer the energy. Sweat started to appear on Xian Wuheng's forehead. No matter how strong one was, they would still feel pressure and panic when facing the threat of death. Immediately, the king geniuses outside the God's Array Building all entered and started to move around. Half a day later, more than half a 5-colored whirlpool array had been constructed. It all depends on luck now. Zhao Feng sighed as he touched his substandard god arm guard. At this moment, the god's forbidden array around Xieyang Palace was extremely weak. Crack! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's giant head and half of its body had already entered Xieyang Palace. Woo! The end of the world is coming! The roar of a dragon that caused heaven and earth to tremble resounded across Xieyang Palace, and it was as if heaven and earth were shaking. Boom! A surge of destructive aura swept over and scorched some of the buildings at the edge of Xieyang Palace. It's over! Is everything going to end? The geniuses and elites within the God's Array Building were filled with fear and despair. There's still a chance! Zhao Feng touched his substandard god arm guard with sharp eyes. When the experts and elites all merged their true yuan into the 5-colored whirlpool array. Go! Xian Wuheng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge led 2 5-colored beams of light from the whirlpool array. One whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 5-colored beams of light merged into the 2 biggest flaws of the God's Array and tried to fix them. Life or death, success or failure, would be decided in this instant. The crowd held their breaths as their hearts tensed up. Chapter 863. Outside Xieyang Palace, the misty light of the god's forbidden array was extremely dim, and cracks started to appear on it like fragile glass. Boom! Crack! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon that was 400 to 500 yards long squeezed its head and part of its body into Xieyang Palace. Roar! In an instant, the roar of a dragon resounded throughout Xieyang Palace as a destructive draconic aura spread out. Countless beings in the palace instinctively trembled in fear from their bloodlines and souls. It was as if the entire space where the ancient god's mysterious mansion was located was shrouded in dark clouds of doomsday. Whoosh! 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 Purple and blood-colored light flashed from the surface of the god's forbidden array and landed on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, but it didn't even leave a mark on it. In front of the God's Array Building, the geniuses and elites from the Lord Dynasty fell into fear and despair. The shadow of destruction and death covered their bodies. Once the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon charged into Xieyang Palace, most king geniuses wouldn't be able to survive. The World Annihilation Mark's reaction was also unprecedentedly strong at this moment. Within the Array Building, the king geniuses all poured their true yuan into the 5-colored whirlpool array. It seems to be working. Xian Wuheng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge quickly formed complicated hand seals and drew out 2 beams of 5-colored light from the whirlpool array, which merged into the 2 biggest flaws of the God Array. Zhao Feng stood on the side and watched. He was the weakest in terms of true yuan cultivation, so he obviously couldn't do anything. Nan Gongxing joined in, and a purple and blood-colored whirlpool appeared in his palm and turned into a bright river that merged into the whirlpool array. One boom! The light from the vortex suddenly became twice as dazzling as before, and a rumbling sound rang out. The other elites of the monarchs present all revealed expressions of shock. In other words, Nangongxing's power alone was comparable to Xian Yuanwen, Zhao Yufei, and many other void god realms working together. Although not all the kings participated, there were still around 20 of them. Xian Yuanwen, an emperor, was among them. The power of a god is indeed shocking, but the amount that Nangongxing can control and use is limited. Right now, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. After a few breaths. Within the God Formation Tower, the energy ripples of the God Formation Hub seemed to show signs of turning back. With his God's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng found that the array seemed to be operating more smoothly than before. Of course. Other than Zhao Feng, Xian Wuheng, senior brother Zhuge and a few others, this slight change was not obvious to the others. What? Outside Xieyang Palace, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body suddenly froze. It suddenly sensed that the self-recovery speed of the god's forbidden formation was rising. 10 breaths later. Buzz! The misty radiance formed by the god's forbidden formation went from being extremely dim to gradually brightening. Ants! You're just struggling at death's door. The black serpent dragon let out a furious roar as its enormous black-scaled body struggled in the holes of the array formation. However, around the time it took to make tea later, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's enormous body started to twist as it was being squeezed by the god's forbidden formation. After all, Xieyang Palace was a god palace. The god's forbidden formation was set up to deal with heavenly divine realm experts. At their peak, even heavenly divine realm experts would find it hard to break through. Whoosh! 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 Thousands of purple and blood-colored lights shot onto the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body. The pressure and the backlash from the god's forbidden formation made the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon roar and roar. Seeing this, the recovery speed and backlash from the god's forbidden formation continued to rise, and the pressure became greater. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body was almost stuck in the hole of the array. With the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave off an unwilling roar as it barely managed to retreat outside of Xieyang Palace. Then, the huge hole in the wall was rapidly repaired. The god's forbidden formation had a unique characteristic. The more damage a certain area suffered, the more power it would give. Therefore, fighting against the god's forbidden formation with just its own power was like fighting against heaven and earth. It was unimaginable that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon could reach such a level. Within the God's Array building. Success! The king geniuses let out a long breath and felt as if they had just survived a calamity. Thank you, everyone. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge wiped his sweat and said with a smile, the two biggest flaws in the core of the God's forbidden formation have been fixed. Although the defensive power of the God's forbidden formation hasn't increased by much, its recovery speed and sensitivity have increased by a lot. The defensive power of the god's forbidden formation was related to its core power. However, after so many years, Xieyang Palace's core power had started to run dry, so its defensive power hadn't increased by much. However, because the flaws in the core of the array had been fixed, the array's circulation became smoother, and its recovery speed increased. At this moment, the destructive aura from outside Xieyang Palace started to fade. It was expected. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would have to spend more time trying to break into Xieyang Palace. There's still 1 or 2 more months before the Divine Illusion Dimension leaves the Lord Dynasty. We'll be able to return then. Ha! We just need to last 1 or 2 more months, and we'll be able to return alive. The experts outside the God's Array building were overjoyed. Zhao Feng and Nangongxing also revealed smiles. After all, the danger of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had been temporarily resolved. Next, the kings tried their best to fix the 2 biggest flaws in the core of the god's forbidden formation. 3 days later, the king elites walked out of the God's Array building, exhausted. When the white door frame on the surface of the God's Array building started to close. The biggest flaw in the core of the god's forbidden formation has been fixed. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon won't be able to break in within 1 or 2 months. Xian Wuheng faintly nodded his head. All they needed to do was stay in Siam Palace for another month or two before returning to the continent zone. There's still 1 or 2 months left. Doesn't that mean that we'll be able to find all the fortune in Siam Palace? Ha! That black loach can only watch as we plunder everything in Siam Palace. The geniuses outside the god's forbidden formation were overjoyed. There's still close to 2 months left in Siam Palace? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other as their hearts moved. In the next 1 or 2 months, the groups of the forces present obviously wouldn't sit around and wait for the divine illusion dimension to close. One had to know that less than 1% of Siam Palace had been explored. How could they miss such a good opportunity? Quick! The groups of some forces left the God's Array building first. Whoosh! 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 Figures flashed in front of the God's Array building as the groups of forces started to move. See you later, Zhao Feng. Xian Wuheng said goodbye to Zhao Feng before leaving by himself. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng also started to move. Brother Feng, wait. Zhao Yufei's sudden message made Zhao Feng stop. Mo Dongyao and company from Sky Sword Pavilion didn't leave either. Mo Dongyao obeyed the Little Sword Saint's orders and followed Zhao Feng before leaving Siam Palace. As promised. As long as Zhao Feng led the group from Sky Sword Pavilion out of Siam Palace safely, the Little Sword Saint would owe him a favor. Yufei, what do you think? Zhao Feng asked. There was nothing to worry about in the next 1 or 2 months. The groups of the forces would think of ways to explore Siam Palace and gather resources. Brother Feng, the Duanwu family found a legendary treasure that can help one break through to the mystic light realm. Zhao Yufei walked in front of the two and said in a low voice, Help one break through to the mystic light realm? Zhao Feng's heart jumped. There was such a peerless treasure in Siam Palace? The mystic light realm was an extremely difficult threshold to cross in the fan universe, and it was an unreachable place. In the past, the Purple Knight's Sacred Lord was a mystic light realm's Sacred Lord. Although the demigod Kun Yun was called a demigod, he was still at the mystic light realm. At the same time, the mystic light realm was the closest realm to the heavenly divine realm. Even Zhao Feng's heart throbbed in the face of such a peerless treasure, and he found it hard to resist its temptation. At this moment, Zhao Feng's emperor intent had started to recover, and with the resources he had now, he would be able to return to his previous life's cultivation within half a year. Within 2 or 3 years, he would be able to reach the peak void god realm and surpass his previous life to become a true emperor. However, after that, he would also face the threshold of the mystic light realm, which wasn't too far for Zhao Feng. At the same time, his master, Duanwu Qing, had failed to break through to the mystic light realm, so he definitely needed such a peerless treasure. Let's go! Zhao Feng made his decision without thinking. A treasure that could help one break through to the mystic light realm was something that was hard to come by outside the divine illusion dimension. Zhao Feng had to grasp this chance. Even if it was extremely difficult, he had to try. 4 hours later, with the people from the Duanwu family leading the way, the group arrived in front of a garden outside of Siam Palace. Just as they arrived in front of the garden, Zhao Feng smelled an intoxicating fragrance, and his blood flow became smoother. His mind became calm, and he felt as if he was walking on air. Unbelievable! Just a wisp of fragrance is able to make one's body and soul feel refreshed. Just how many rare flowers and plants are there in this garden? The geniuses and elites of the Sky Sword Pavilion's group were dumbfounded. However, the garden in front of them had walls around it, so they could only faintly see what was inside. Zhao Feng's heart jumped when he used his god's spiritual eye to see what was inside. There were hundreds of flowers within the garden, and any one of them was comparable to the green water sky lotus in value. Some of them were even more valuable, and they were enough to make emperors and sacred lords move. What was most shocking was that there were hundreds of flowers in the garden that were in full bloom, and the number of flowers that weren't in full bloom was more than double. Everyone, be careful. There's a lot of danger brewing in this garden, the green-robed elder from the Duanwu family warned in a low tone. On the other hand, the group from the Duanmu family were all on guard. When taking a closer look, the garden was filled with a kind of bee that shone with a five-colored light. These bees weren't very big. They were usually the size of a thumb, and the bigger ones were only the size of a baby's head. However, any one of these colorful bees radiated an aura comparable to a great origin core realm. Some of the stronger elite bees had auras comparable to half-step void god realms, and there was a bee king in each area with an aura comparable to a Pictor king. 5 poison distinct bees! It's an ancient rare insect that has a bloodline close to the 10,000 ancient races. The older elites of Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but take in a cold breath. From a rough estimate, there were at least several 100,000 5 poison distinct bees, and there were at most millions of them. And the most terrifying thing was that in the depths of the garden, on a towering tree, there was a pitch-black beehive that was as large as a palace. Chapter 864. One wing in the depths of the garden, tens of thousands of 5 poison distinct bees formed streams of insects that flowed into the black beehive that was as big as a palace. Bee kings of the 5 poison distinct bees would occasionally appear near the beehive. The normal 5 poison distinct bees were packed together and covered the sky as they surrounded the black beehive. Apart from being spectacular, it was also shocking. Every single 5 poison distinct bee possessed frightening lethality in the outside world. Even the lowest level normal 5 poison distinct bees had the aura of life comparable to an origin core realm. According to the records, the 5 poison distinct bees can unleash a lethal stinger attack, and they have the power to kill enemies stronger than themselves. This method of perishing together with the enemy is something that all living beings and races fear. The elder in green robes from the Duanmu family had a solemn expression, and his eyes were filled with wariness. Killing enemies stronger than themselves and dying with them? And Mo Dongyao from Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but take in a cold breath. In other words, the great origin core realm 5 poison distinct bees could threaten void god realm kings and kill half-step void god realms. Of course, the price of such terrifying damage was death. This kind of poisonous bee race that would perish together with the enemy at the slightest provocation was naturally terrifying. At this point in time, everyone's hair stood on end as they looked at the tens of thousands of poisonous bees. Once the 5 poison distinct bees attack, they'll die with their enemies. An ordinary 5 poison distinct bee can kill a half-step king. An elite 5 poison distinct bee can probably perish together with a king. As for a king-grade bee, it can even kill a great emperor. Zhao Feng's heart shook as he analyzed the situation. Even Nan Gongxing, who was extremely strong, stopped underestimating them. If there were only dozens or hundreds of 5 poison distinct bees, they could completely underestimate them. However, the number of bees in the garden was just too many. The most unfathomable thing was the palace-like beehive on the tree. Everyone realized that all the elite bees and king-level bees were extremely respectful and careful when entering the palace-like beehive, as if they were worshipping an emperor. Nan Gongsheng's nose ring trembled slightly as he sensed a terrifying aura from the beehive. Queen bee! Queen bee! With his left eye, Zhao Feng was able to observe the terrifying scene inside the nest. There were dozens of queen bees in the beehive. Including the ones outside, there were more than 100. The average battle power of these bee kings was close to Pictor kings. Above them were the queen bee and the queen bee. The bee monarchs were comparable to void god realm emperors. There were about 5 of them in the beehive. However, the strongest was still the only queen bee. The size of the queen bee was the size of a house. Its aura was enormous, as if it could suppress a part of the world. Even a peak great emperor would have to retreat in fear. Of course, Zhao Feng also understood the goal of this trip. In the queen bee's hive, there was a crystal-like, colorful nectar. Only the queen bee can secrete the 100 origin sacred honey, and it takes at least 100 years or even a few hundred years to produce it. Furthermore, the requirements for the pollen are extremely high, and it requires at least 100 different peak-grade flowers. Zhao Yufei explained in a low tone. The 100 origin sacred honey was the main goal of Zhao Feng and company. However, after seeing the powerful formation of the beehive, everyone wanted to retreat. When Zhao Feng revealed the number of bee kings and bee emperors in the hive, everyone gasped in shock. There are more than 100 queen bees and 4 or 5 queen bees. There are also tens of thousands of normal and elite venomous bees. Everyone couldn't help but hiccup. This beehive was a kingdom of venomous bees, and its formation was comparable to a 3-star power. Terrifying! Even if all the groups that entered Xieyang Palace were gathered together, it would be extremely difficult to take down this kingdom. Mo Dongyao shook her head. She didn't want the group from Sky Sword Pavilion to take this risk. Although the 100 Origin Sacred Honey can increase one's state of existence by 30 to 40%, and it can increase one's chance of breaking through to the Mystic Light Realm by 30 to 40%, just how big of a price would they have to pay to obtain this sacred honey? The elder in green from the Duanmu family shook his head. Before this, they had only found this kingdom of venomous bees, but they didn't know what was inside. Putting aside the strength of the queen bee, just the 4 or 5 queen bees were comparable to emperors, and they had the ability to kill those stronger than them. The strength of the queen bee might have reached the level of a sacred lord. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked at each other and came to the same conclusion. After all, the strength of the queen bee surpassed the queen bee by 1 level, and she was a supreme existence in the venomous bee kingdom. Therefore, it wasn't too much to call her battle power at the level of a sacred lord. Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord! The hearts of those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion shook, and they almost ran away. At this moment, the group from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion had all lost their will to fight. Nan Gongxing's expression was solemn as he looked at the giant black beehive with wariness. Although he didn't put normal emperors in his eyes, there were existences comparable to sacred lords within the beehive. Furthermore, these 5 poison distinct bees all had the ability to kill themselves. It's not like we can't outsmart them. An indifferent voice came from the panic-stricken crowd, and it seemed so abrupt. Is there a way? Everyone looked at the purple-haired youth who seemed to only be at the Origin Core realm with surprise. Nan Gongxing's heart shook. Even with his current strength, he didn't dare to attack recklessly. However, from Zhao Feng's tone, it didn't seem to be too hard. Although the queen bee is strong, it's one with the entire beehive. All the nectar and essence collected by the 5 poison distinct bees will be given to it. It's the core of this kingdom. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. The only thing he was truly wary of was the sacred lord-level queen bee, but it was a different story if the queen bee was restricted. You're saying that the queen bee can't move and can't attack? Zhao Yufei's eyes flashed. That's right. Zhao Feng had a look of praise. The queen bee has almost no ability to move. Once it tries to forcefully fly out, the entire kingdom will collapse. This means that as long as we don't do anything too out of line, this won't happen. Nan Gongxing understood, and battle intent rose in his eyes. After analyzing the passive weakness of the queen bee, Zhao Yufei and the others regained some confidence. Next, everyone started to discuss what group to send into the beehive to obtain the 100 Origins Sacred Honey. They definitely couldn't send everyone into such a dangerous operation. A while later, on the stage, they discussed a formation. A total of 4 people would take action to obtain the 100 Origins Sacred Honey. These 4 people were Zhao Feng, Nan Gongxing, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. Before entering, Zhao Feng did some preparations. Firstly, he used the substandard God Misty Spatial World to leave behind a spatial mark outside the garden. Go! Zhao Feng then raised his hand, and a black blur flashed. Shwa! Everyone saw an ugly female scorpion woman scream, rush into the garden, and fly towards the huge beehive. In terms of speed, this female scorpion woman was comparable to normal kings. Furthermore, her body was covered in a pitch-black metallic scorpion armor, and her defense was shocking. Apart from the fact that her soul hadn't evolved enough, the other aspects of attack, speed, and defense of the female scorpion woman that Zhao Feng enslaved were extremely close to a Void God Realm king. When the female scorpion woman attracted the attention of some wasps as soon as she entered the garden. The closer she got to the beehive, the more wasps swarmed over. In that instant, hundreds and thousands of 5 poison distinct bees surrounded the female scorpion woman. The female scorpion woman waved her arms furiously, and a layer of wasps fell from her body. However, under the suicidal attacks of the wasps, her tough scorpion armor was still broken through. Whoosh! Whoosh! It was especially so for a few elite 5 poison distinct bees. Their stingers easily pierced into their bodies. Arg! The female scorpion let out a blood-curdling scream, and colorful poisonous smoke rose from her skin. In just a few breaths, the female scorpion woman left behind a puddle of black blood. The defense of this female scorpion woman is very strong. She'll be able to last as long as a normal king. Zhao Feng's gaze was cold as he analyzed in a low voice. Hearing that, everyone's hearts went cold. Didn't that mean that normal kings wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths under the attacks of the wasps? Furthermore, there weren't many elite wasps, and there wasn't even a single king-class wasp, let alone a bee emperor. Of course, Zhao Feng only sent out the female scorpion woman to test the power of the 5 poison distinct bees. The result was even scarier than expected. Let's go. Zhao Feng nodded his head as his gaze scanned over Nan Gongxing, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao, and company. The elites of the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion all felt that this was absurd. That purple-haired youth was clearly the youngest and had the lowest cultivation, but he had easily become the leader of the group of 4. Even Nan Gongxing, who had slaughtered everyone, was just one of them. Whoosh! 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 The 4 flew into the air and headed toward the garden. What was even more incredible was that the person walking at the front was also Zhao Feng. When some of the nearby wasps instantly leaped over. Boom! Before the wasps could even get close to Zhao Feng, they were turned into ashes by a faint golden physical force. After his sacred lightning body broke through to the 5th level, Zhao Feng could use his physical body alone to fight against normal kings. Once he got close, normal kings wouldn't be able to stop him. This was just the beginning stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body. If Zhao Feng reached the late stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body, his physical body would be able to fight against emperors and anyone below the sacred lord realm. Apart from the precious 100-origin sacred honey, there's also a normal 100-origin fruit juice in the beehive. It can also increase the level of my state of existence, and help me increase the level of my golden Quin's sacred lightning body. Zhao Feng's left eye focused on the large black beehive on the tree in the distance. However, right now, Zhao Feng and company needed to pass through the tens of thousands of 5-poison distinct bees. Several elite-level wasps led hundreds and thousands of 5-poison distinct bees toward the 4 of them. Those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Zhao Feng and company. This step is very simple. Zhao Feng immediately circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, and his left eye seemed to turn into a purple abyss. A shocking scene appeared. The bodies of the beautiful 5-poison distinct bees froze when they got close to the 4 of them. The 100-some bees were like soldiers of an army, patrolling around Zhao Feng's group of 4 in awe and respect as if they were escorting them. Chapter 865. This scene caused the elites of the Duanmu clan and Heavenly Sword Pavilion, who were watching from outside the garden, to become speechless. The first wave of more than 100 wasps obediently surrounded Zhao Feng's group of 4 as they approached. There were even a few elite-grade wasps that were comparable to half-step Void God Realm Kings. If they used a suicidal attack, they could kill a Void God Realm King with them. Next, the second batch of 1 to 200 wasps approached, but they hesitated when they saw what the first batch was doing. Shwa! In an instant, 1 to 200 mental energy intense swept across the second batch of wasps. When the wasps' bodies froze, and they became even more respectful as they joined the ranks of the escort wasps. This meant that there were more than 305 poison distinct bees protecting them. These bees were 5-colored and protected Zhao Feng and company in the middle. Zhao Feng's footsteps slowed down slightly as he circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, and his eye bloodline started to enslave and tame the bees that had been alerted. Zhao Feng would only use the dark heart seal to enslave the elite-grade wasps. As for the normal wasps, he would either tame them or use the elite-grade wasps to control them. 15 minutes later, several thousand 5-poison distinct bees surrounded Zhao Feng in company, and 50 to 60 elite-grade wasps were enslaved. The dense swarm of bees was like a 5-colored whirlwind that completely obscured the figures of Zhao Feng's group of 4. Not only were their figures concealed, but even the auras of the 4 of them were concealed to the greatest extent. "It's about time." Zhao Feng nodded his head and led the way. The several thousand 5-poison distinct bees circled around them and covered their auras. Soon after, very few wasps got close to the 5-poison distinct mountains. When normal wasps got close, they would be scared away by the elite-grade wasps that Zhao Feng controlled, and they wouldn't dare to ask. If an elite-ranked wasp came to interrogate him, Zhao Feng would immediately enslave it. "This elite-grade 5-poison strange peak is comparable to a half-step king. It can even kill a void god realm king with a suicidal attack." Zhao Feng smiled. As long as an elite poisonous bee grew suspicious and approached, it would fall under Zhao Feng's control. In the wasp kingdom, ordinary wasps were like soldiers, or even puppets. They followed orders rigidly. The elite 5-poison distinct bee had some consciousness. Zhao Feng enslaved the elite venomous bees to achieve his goal of controlling the venomous bee swarm. Nan Gongxing and company were surprised. They hadn't expected Zhao Feng to come up with such an idea and enter the venomous wasp kingdom so easily. Time passed. As they approached the beehive that was as huge as a palace, the number of elite wasps on the way increased. At a certain moment, buzz! A king-level wasp swooped over aggressively, as if it was asking why these wasps were slacking off. "Good!" Zhao Feng circulated his eye intent to the maximum and used the Forbidden Soul technique. In an instant, a chilling aura seeped into Qi Feng's soul. The 5-poison distinct bees were small, and they were average in both the soul dimension and the physical dimension. They were even slightly weak. The scariest traits of this race were that they lived in groups, their venom, and their suicidal attacks. These 5-poison distinct bees were unlucky to meet Zhao Feng. Schwa! The king-level wasp struggled for a bit before being enslaved by Zhao Feng. The entire process was smoother than expected. This was the benefit of recovering his emperor intent. Although Zhao Feng's cultivation was low, his physical body was strong, and his soul dimension eye bloodline techniques were comparable to emperors. Mo Dongyao revealed a shocked expression as she looked deeply at Zhao Feng. Those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family were wary. Once the king-level wasps used their suicidal attacks, they could even kill emperors. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng's strength had increased dramatically. After controlling a king-level wasp, the rest of the journey was extremely smooth. A while later, Zhao Feng's group of 4 arrived at the bottom of the large black beehive. With the king-level and elite-level wasps guarding them, the surrounding wasps all went around them and didn't dare to come over to ask questions. The only other king-level wasps Zhao Feng had to be wary of were the king-level wasps. After entering the beehive, they might face the even stronger bee-emperor, an existence comparable to an emperor. With Zhao Feng's current soul intent, it was extremely difficult to enslave the bee-emperor. Even if he succeeded, he would cause a lot of noise and alert the other bee-emperors. Tsum! Whoosh! Whoosh! The 4 jumped into the large beehive under the cover of the wasps. The beehive was the size of a human palace, and there were many 5-poison distinct bees living inside, including some larvae and eggs. "Try to avoid the bee-emperor and go straight to the bee-queen's nest," Zhao Feng said in a low tone. With their battle power, it wasn't hard for them to deal with one bee-emperor, but there were 4 or 5 bee-queens in the beehive. The scariest thing was that if the bee-emperor used a suicidal attack, it could kill Mystic Light Realm's sacred lords. Zhao Feng didn't want to see that happen. Luckily, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye had already seen the layout of the beehive, and he also obtained more information from the king-level wasps he had tamed. After entering the beehive, Zhao Feng and company became even more cautious. On the way, they would occasionally meet king-level wasps, and Zhao Feng would carefully use the dark heart seal to not make too much noise. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng had tamed 4 or 5 king-level wasps and over 100 elite-level wasps. During this period of time, Zhao Feng and company successfully gathered some 100 origin honey juice. In essence, the 100 origin sacred honey was the 100 origin honey juice, which was more original and quintessential. The 100 origin honey juice could increase one's state of existence, and it was extremely beneficial to Void God Realm kings. It could even create a good foundation for breaking through to the mystic light realm. This honey juice was extremely beneficial to Zhao Feng's 5th level sacred lightning body. On top of that, Nan Gongxing and Mo Dongyao's state of existence were slightly weaker. Zhao Feng got 40% of the 100 origin honey juice, and Nan Gongxing and company each got 20%. No one objected to this. Unknowingly, they had reached the depths of the beehive kingdom. At this moment, a terrifying aura crushed over, as if heaven and earth was being suppressed. The pressure from this aura surpassed even that of an emperor. If it was a normal Void God Realm king, their mind would have collapsed and they would have spat out blood. However, Zhao Feng and company weren't normal. Not good! The Bee Queen has sensed us. Lao Feng's expression changed dramatically. Only now did he realize that he had underestimated the Bee Queen. Although the Bee Queen couldn't move, it was still the ruler of the beehive. It could be said that half of the beehive was her secretions. If it weren't for the fact that the Bee Queen still had to lay eggs, it would have sensed Zhao Feng and company even earlier. Let's go! The hearts of Zhao Feng and company shook as they sped up toward the Bee Queen's nest. At the same time, the king venomous bees and even the bee emperor within the beehive were alerted, and they quickly flew over. Some. Whoosh. 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 Zhao Feng and company did their best to charge toward the Bee Queen's nest. The Bee Queen's nest was getting closer and closer, and the 100 origin sacred honey seemed to be getting closer as well. However, right at this moment, one whoosh. A bee emperor screamed as it gave off an aura comparable to an emperor and chased after the 4. Leave the bee emperor to me. You guys deal with the Bee Queen and get the 100 origin sacred honey, Mo Dongyao said. She turned around decisively with a cold gaze. She gripped the tattered ancient god sword, and the image of the white-bearded little sword saint appeared behind her. I'll deal with the other bee kings. Zhao Yufei stayed behind as well. Apart from the bee emperors, there were also several dozen bee kings in the beehive. The average battle power of the bee kings was close to a peak-tier king. Go! Zhao Feng didn't hesitate. He left behind some bees to help the 2 girls and charged toward the Bee Queen's nest with Nan Gongxing. Boom! Before they even entered the Bee Queen's nest, a terrifying aura that could seal heaven and earth appeared. All of Zhao Feng's true yuan started to tremble and freeze. His soul also shook, and the blood within his body started to boil. This was the aura of the Bee Queen, and it was comparable to a sacred lord. If it were a normal king, they wouldn't even be able to circulate their true yuan and intent. Even with Zhao Feng's powerful body and soul intent, his body froze, and he found it hard to move forward. When there was a dark-colored bee the size of a house within the Bee Queen's nest. Its eyes glittered with a golden light, and it seemed to be able to control heaven and earth with just its gaze and intent. However, the Bee Queen's body was connected to the beehive, and it couldn't move easily. That's the Bee Queen! Zhao Feng's breathing became heavy as he opened the little world of the misty spatial world. However, even the little world wasn't able to block the sacred lord-level aura and only weakened it by 20 to 30%. If it was a normal king, they would have spat out blood and knelt on the ground already. Let me! A purple and blood-colored light radiated from Nan Gongxing's body as he radiated a powerful aura that could pass through both the physical and the soul, and it clashed with the sacred lord-level aura. His purple and blood-colored hair blew in the wind, and the purple and blood-colored mark on his forehead flashed. A cruel and cold smile formed on his face, as if he was the lord of the wicked path. Zhao Feng felt the pressure on him lighten, especially in the physical dimension. When right at this moment, an aura of the Tao of the sword that reigned supreme over everything appeared behind him. Soul's sword charge! Emo Dongyao raised the tattered ancient god sword in her hand, and the white swordlight behind her suddenly expanded to 100 yards and released a crystal-like beam that slashed toward the Bee Emperor. "Si!" the Bee Emperor screamed. Its body was perfectly fine, but its soul and intent had been destroyed by that sword. "Spiritual light, heaven and earth!" A crystalline light radiated from Zhao Yufei's body, and millions of rays of purple light pierced through the incoming bees. Whoosh! 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 Under the envelopment of the millions of amethyst light rays, swarms of wasps descended. In just 1 or 2 breaths, 2 or 3 bee kings were killed, and over 1,000 elite and normal bees died. Boom! Even the people from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family outside the garden could feel the trembling of the beehive and the purple light coming from it. "It's Yufei's spiritual race bloodline secret technique!" The green-robed elder's heart clenched. Emo Dongyao and Zhao Yufei used a single target attack and an area of effect secret technique. Their teamwork was perfect. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing didn't need to worry about anything for now. The powerful auras radiating from their attacks even made the Sacred Lord level Bee Queen's expression change. 100 Origin Sacred Honey! Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the half-frozen rainbow-colored honey within the Bee Queen's nest. Chapter 866. Within the Bee Queen's nest, Nan Gongxing's aura started to clash with the Bee Queen for a short period of time. Outside the nest, Zhao Yufei and Emo Dongyao managed to stabilize the situation. The half-frozen multicolored honey was extremely close and gave off a fatal allure. It could help one reach the supreme sacred hall of a mystic light realm's sacred lord. However, in this situation, Zhao Feng still didn't lose his cool. His left eye locked onto the Hornet Queen as if he was trying to see through her body. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's body tensed up, and he didn't move as he focused all of his energy. "Zhao Feng, hurry up and do something!" Cold sweat appeared on Nan Gongxing's forehead, and the purple and blood-colored divine light around him started to tremble and shine with layers of silver-purple light. He circulated his astounding strength to the limit, but he was still unable to withstand it. The Bee Queen's power had basically reached the level of a mystic light realm sacred lord. Her aura could suppress the air, and it was countless times stronger than the magnificent power of kings. Zhao Feng still didn't move. His left eye stared at the Bee Queen's dark golden compound eye. A trace of surprise flashed through the Queen Bee's eyes. It was waiting for this youth to take the 100 Origin sacred honey, but it didn't expect him to be so calm and collected. Zhao Feng could feel the killing intent brewing within the Bee Queen. Once he tried to take the 100 Origin sacred honey, he would definitely be attacked. The ambush of a sacred lord wasn't something that void god realm kings or emperors could block. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. Nan Gongxing and the 2 girls behind him wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths. One at the same time, tens of thousands of wasps gathered toward the nest. There were tens of thousands of elites among them, and they were comparable to half-stepped kings. There were over 100 king-level wasps, and their average battle power was comparable to a peak-tier king. It was equivalent to Zhao Feng and company were being attacked by a 3-star power, and the situation was extremely dangerous. Nan Gongxing quickly understood the pressure Zhao Feng was facing. The killing intent of a sacred lord-level sacred lord was not easy to deal with. Only the left-eyed heavenly emperor at his peak would be able to resist it. Meow, meow. A silver-gray thieving cat appeared and broke the stalemate. The thieving cat was only the size of a palm. It bared its fangs and looked very harmless. However, its next move caused the queen bee to be furious. Meow, a spade appeared in the little thieving cat's hand, and it dug into the area of the rainbow liquid. Puff! The little thieving cat happily dug out a shovel of 100 Origin sacred honey. Rumble! The entire beehive trembled strangely, as if it would collapse at any moment. He didn't know what characteristics the shovel had that caused such a huge commotion. The queen bee was furious and shocked. She let out a heaven-shaking roar, and the space around her seemed to faintly tremble. Whoosh! The queen bee opened her mouth and spat out a shocking, dark flame. The moment the dark-colored flame appeared, the void seemed to distort and tremble. The forbidden aura caused everyone present to feel a chill in their hearts. What was even more shocking was that, as the distorted dark-colored flames attacked, a taboo aura enveloped the void where the target was located. At this moment, Xiao Feng and the little thieving cat seemed to freeze in place. Not good! Could it be the queen bee's origin sacred flame? Nan Gongseng's heart jumped. The power of this forbidden power was only slightly weaker than the black destruction serpent dragon outside Xieyang Palace. For the four present, the origin sacred flame was an unparalleled existence. Even a peak emperor would be instantly killed by it. No wonder Xiao Feng acted as if he was facing a great enemy. Meow! The little thieving cat screamed as it sensed the danger it had never felt before. Spatial movement! A ripple of bloodline power formed an invisible whirlpool that covered the dark flame and the little thieving cat. Shwa! The little thieving cat and the dark-colored flames around it suddenly disappeared. What? Surprise flashed through the queen bee's golden compound eyes. Suddenly, its expression changed dramatically as it screamed and was covered by a ripple of bloodline power. Whoosh! A ball of forbidden, twisted, dark-colored flames landed on the queen bee's face. Arg! A sharp screech shook the air, and both the physical and soul dimensions started to tremble. Boom, boom, boom! Boom! The entire beehive started to shake, and a terrifying aura shook the hearts of those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanwu family outside. 100 Origin Sacred Honey, collect! Xiao Feng unleashed his substandard god weapon, the Misty Spatial World, and collected the nearby 100 Origin Sacred Honey before the queen bee could recover. At this moment, the terrifying undulation of power from the queen bee almost suppressed the entire area. Xiao Feng's face went bright red, and his soul dimension started to crackle. The queen bee's killing intent had locked onto him. Retreat! A layer of silver and purple light appeared around Nan Gongxing and enveloped Xiao Feng. Whoosh! Whoosh! Xiao Feng and Nan Gongxing barely managed to retreat out of the queen bee's nest. I can't hold on any longer! At this moment, Mo Dongyao and Zhao Yufei retreated to the queen bee's nest under the attacks of several bee emperors, dozens of bee kings, and tens of thousands of bees. The group of four met up in front of the queen bee's nest. Very good, the plan is complete. Xiao Feng smiled faintly and raised his arm. However, something unexpected happened at this moment. Within the queen bee's nest, a cruel killing intent appeared on the queen bee's bloody face as she opened her mouth and spat. Watch out! Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao exclaimed at the same time. When a wave of multicolored light shot out of the queen bee's mouth and enveloped the group at the entrance. Mockery flashed through the queen bee's eyes. She had analyzed that Zhao Feng's spatial movement was targeted at physical objects. This time, she had used an area of effect attack that could kill all of them in one fell swoop. A forbidden power covered the four of them. Hee, goodbye. Zhao Feng's raised arm was already swinging down. Shwa! A layer of silver light appeared around the four of them, and with a flash of silver light, space undulated. Boom! The wave of multicolored light instantly swept over the area where Zhao Feng and company were. However, all that was left was a transparent silver afterimage. The figures of Zhao Feng and company had disappeared. Outside the garden, Wang Shua. A layer of silvery silhouette appeared in the void, and four people appeared within it, becoming clearer and clearer. These four people were Zhao Feng, Nan Gongxing, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. That was too close! Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao were both scared. Luckily, Zhao Feng's calculations were accurate, and he used the substandard god weapon, the Misty Spatial World, at the last moment to bring everyone back. Before leaving, Zhao Feng had left behind a spatial mark outside the garden. This spatial mark was a backup plan. Zhao Feng had already thought about it. If he wanted to obtain the 100 origin sacred honey, he had to alert the queen bee. Alerting the queen bee was equivalent to alerting the entire venomous wasp kingdom. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the substandard god weapon, Zhao Feng wouldn't have dared to poke this hornet's nest. As long as you're fine. The elder in green from the Duanmu family let out a long breath. He was mainly worried about Zhao Yufei. She had the bloodline of the spiritual race and wouldn't have any bottlenecks in breaking through to the mystic light realm. It wasn't worth the risk. Brother Feng, did you manage to get the 100 origin sacred honey? Zhao Yufei let out a long breath. Before entering the divine illusion dimension, she had made up her mind to help senior brother Duanmu obtain resources that could help him break through to the mystic light realm. I got it. There's enough. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face. Although he had only obtained a small portion of the 100 origin sacred honey from the queen bee's nest, it was enough for several dozen people. The distribution was the same as before. Zhao Feng took 40%, and Zhao Yufei, Nan Gongxing, and Mo Dongyao took 20% each. When right at this moment, a large group of venomous wasps chased out of the garden. The angry screech of the queen bee came from the depths of the garden. Run! Those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family jumped up in fright. Don't panic. These are my bee slaves. Zhao Feng raised his hand and said, Bee slaves? Everyone forced themselves to calm down. Almost 1,000 wasps flew out. There were 3 king wasps, 100 elite wasps, and the remaining few hundred had auras comparable to late-stage Great Origin Core realms. Zhao Feng had only brought a few elite troops from Poison Bee. Shua! He waved the substandard god bracer on his arm and opened his little world to absorb all the wasps. I suggest that we leave this place as soon as possible. Mo Dongyao was slightly uneasy. The queen bee's powerful aura radiated from the nest in the garden, making everyone's hearts jump and their true yuan go out of control. Half a day later, the group arrived at a quiet courtyard within the Xieyang Palace complex. Those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion went elsewhere to explore. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing stayed in the courtyard to cultivate and consolidate their foundation. There were many fortunes in Xieyang Palace, and they only needed to worry about not having enough strength. 100 origin honey. Zhao Feng took out the honey that was 1 level lower than the 100 origin sacred honey. At the end of the day, this was the essence of the honey brewed by the 5 poison distinct bees. This 100 origin nectar required at least 100 types of top-grade pollen. Adding on the massive work of the bee colony, it would take a long time to form. One had to know that many of the flowers in the garden were comparable to the green water sky lotus, and he couldn't recognize most of them. It would be too wasteful for Zhao Feng to use the 100 origin sacred honey right now. Therefore, he used the 100 origin honey first. After drinking a mouthful of the 100 origin honey, Zhao Feng felt a smooth and fragrant aura spread through his organs and limbs. Perhaps it was because of the 100 origin nectar's innate characteristics or Zhao Feng's powerful sacred lightning body, but the power of the nectar was quickly absorbed and transformed by Zhao Feng's body. In just half the time it took to make tea, Zhao Feng's body shook as a golden blue light flashed through his eyes. The effect of this 100 origin honey has exceeded my expectations. My state of existence and body have both become stronger. Zhao Feng quickly circulated his sacred lightning body and wind lightning technique. Although the 100 origin honey was 1 level lower, even an emperor would have the foundation to break through to the mystic light realm. On the other hand, the 100 origin sacred honey was a lot more useful for breaking through to the mystic light realm. 3 days later, the aura from Zhao Feng's body became stronger and stronger, and it was slowly approaching the early stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body. On top of that, the 100 origin honey didn't just affect the body, it also increased one's true yuan cultivation. Not long later, with the help of the crystal core of the Wind Lightning King and the 100 origin honey, the water of wind lightning within Zhao Feng's body was condensed to the limit, and it even contained wisps of wood-based life force. Chapter 867. Though the ripples of water and lightning around Zhao Feng's body were like the ocean, immeasurably deep, but they also had a sapphire feel to them. They seemed to be perfect and endless. Finally, Zhao Feng's first water of wind lightning had reached the peak of perfection. His wind lightning technique had reached the peak of the 6th level, and it was about to touch the 7th level. The water of wind lightning that had been pushed to the limit started to form a faint aura of wood. This was obviously the aura of the wood of wind lightning from the 7th level. The first 3 levels of the 5 elemental wind lightning technique are the foundations of wind lightning, and the 4th to 6th levels are the first 5 elemental wind lightning. Starting from the 7th level, the 5 elemental wind lightning will create a new 5 elemental wind lightning. Joy appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Every additional 5 elemental wind lightning meant that his strength would increase, and his abilities would become more varied. The 5 elemental wind lightning created water, water created wood, wood created fire, fire created earth, and earth created metal. The first 5 elemental wind lightning could be chosen. Zhao Feng chose water. In the 5 elemental wind lightning, water created wood. Therefore, Zhao Feng's second 5 elemental wind lightning was the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng was surprised that he was able to form the aura of the wood of wind lightning so quickly. After all, his cultivation wasn't even at the late-stage Great Origin Core realm yet. Theoretically speaking, his cultivation needed to be extremely close to the Void God realm to be able to form the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng thought for a while and understood the reason. So, it's because of the 100 origin honey, which contains the essence of plants. After all, this nectar is the essence of hundreds of top-quality pollen that has been extracted through a huge process. Zhao Feng understood. The 100 origin honey already had such an effect, so Zhao Feng couldn't help but look forward to the higher-level 100 origin sacred honey. Of course, it wasn't suitable for Zhao Feng to use the 100 origin sacred honey right now, or else it would be too wasteful. The 100 origin honey was enough for him to become stronger. Thinking of this, Zhao Feng drank a few more mouthfuls of 100 origin honey juice. Inside the beehive, the quantity of 100 origin honey juice that was a grade lower was much higher. Zhao Feng possessed several jars of it. Time passed day by day. Zhao Feng's wind and lightning power contained more and more wood elemental essence. 4 to 5 days later, his faint green wood of wind lightning appeared on the surface of Zhao Feng's body, and the crystal core within his body also expanded. Nangongxing, who was in seclusion absorbing the power of the evil god, twitched his nose. The place where Zhao Feng stood exuded a faintly discernible fragrance of plants. The plants around him were obviously more exuberant than other places. Late-stage Great Origin Core Realm! Zhao Feng opened his eyes, and a calm aura radiated from his body. This aura subconsciously landed on Nangongxing. Nangongxing took a light breath and looked deeply at Zhao Feng. The coldness on his face softened a little. This wood of wind lightning can reach hundreds of flowers and plants, get rid of hundreds of poisons, and have a better recovery effect. At the same time, it has a stronger corrosive effect on the flesh of living beings. Zhao Feng felt the new 5 elemental wind lightning. The wood of wind lightning's offensive power wasn't strong, and it was even weaker than the water of wind lightning. However, its support abilities were stronger. A ball of green mist condensed above Zhao Feng's head, and lightning crisscrossed each other. With the help of Emperor Intent and Peak Resources, Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning quickly condensed. At the same time, Zhao Feng used the 7th level of the wind lightning technique to refine his sacred lightning body, and his efficiency increased by more than double. In the next few days, the aura of Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning started to fade, but the aura of his physical body started to increase. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's golden Kuan sacred lightning body was extremely close to the early stages of the 5th level. Once he succeeded, he would be able to suppress domain-level kings and even fight against peak-tier kings with just his physical body alone. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's cultivation was also continuously increasing. It could be said that Zhao Feng's current cultivation and sacred lightning body didn't have any true bottlenecks. As long as he was willing, Zhao Feng would be able to break through to the Void God realm if he cultivated in seclusion for another 1 or 2 months. However, Zhao Feng couldn't do that. He couldn't waste his precious time cultivating in Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng, there's only 1 month left until the divine illusion dimension overlaps. Nan Gongxing's voice sounded. Although the disturbance of power within Nan Gongxing's body hadn't become much stronger over the past half a month, it had become smoother. In terms of strength, Nan Gongxing had already surpassed the level of an emperor. For him, how to use this power was the most important thing. Before, it was obvious that Nan Gongxing was struggling against the Bee Queen's power and couldn't last long. One had to know that. The Bee Queen wasn't a battle type, so she couldn't move or fight. However, her life force and power had reached the level of a sacred lord. If Nan Gongxing had met a true mystic light realm sacred lord, he wouldn't have been able to fight back at all. I need to use the last month well. Zhao Feng stood up. He would have plenty of time to cultivate once he obtained more resources and returned to the continent zone. I really want to see that Bee Queen again. A layer of purple and blood silver light floated around Nan Gongxing's body, and the terrifying aura made the nearby space freeze. Your strength isn't any weaker than a mystic light realm sacred lord. Unfortunately, your cultivation is too weak. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. Nan Gongxing's strength was indeed strong. Even the king level would have wind lightning within his body froze and couldn't circulate. However, Nan Gongxing's cultivation wasn't high enough, so he could only use 30 to 40% of this power. And this was only after he had been cultivating for a while. Hearing that, Nan Gongxing felt slightly depressed, so he gave up on fighting the Bee Queen. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, Zhao Feng and company might have been killed in the hornet's nest last time. I'm not in a rush to increase my strength right now. I should at least wait until my soul intent reaches the level of an emperor. Nan Gongxing made up his mind. At this moment, he could still see the difference between him and Zhao Feng. If he met the left-eyed heavenly emperor at his peak, he probably wouldn't be his match right now. Whoosh! Whoosh! Under the cover of a layer of silver and purple light, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing moved through Xieyang Palace at a shocking speed and started to search everywhere. Wherever they went, their powerful auras made the hearts of geniuses and elites shake. Luckily, the purple-haired demonic duo, who were almost invincible, didn't try to rob them. Even the fake demonic duo didn't appear. In reality, Nan Gongxing's personality changed dramatically after obtaining the evil god's inheritance. He tried to rob them several times, but Zhao Feng stopped him. Zhao Feng could feel that Nan Gongxing's personality was slowly changing. Furthermore, this slow change was like a natural process that Zhao Feng couldn't change. Time passed quickly. In the remaining month, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing searched everywhere and obtained more and more resources. However, as the god's forbidden array within Xieyang Palace stabilized, they couldn't enter many important places. Fortune like the 100 origin sacred honey was hard to find, and the resources they obtained were only comparable to the green water sky lotuses. Or maybe, even if Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing teamed up, they wouldn't be able to deal with some fortune. For example, there was a spiritual pet garden within Xieyang Palace. Many of the spiritual pets there were at the sacred lord level, and they were restricted within the garden. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing didn't dare to approach the spiritual pet garden. Apart from that, there were some dangerous places that could instantly kill emperors or even sacred lords. They didn't want to risk their lives. On this day, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing stood on top of a tall building and held their breaths. Zhao Feng felt that the space in front of him started to become fainter. Every brick, every tile, every blade of grass seemed to become fainter. It felt like a mirage, and it wasn't real. At the same time, the kings of other forces also realized this. The divine illusion dimension and the continent zone are about to overlap. Xian Yuanwen murmured. Calculating the time, they had been in the divine illusion dimension for several months now. There's around 3 or 4 days left. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other. The divine illusion dimension was a unique dimension left behind by an ancient god. It was like a real mirage that overlapped with heaven and earth. Another half a day passed. The fainter dimension in front of them started to become transparent. Why do I feel like everything in the divine illusion dimension isn't real? Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. His god's spiritual eye couldn't see through this dimension. He had a similar feeling in the Fan Luan ancient sound palace, just like how he couldn't see through Lu Qinxin. According to the information I obtained from the evil god mental thought body, the divine illusion dimension was once a unique world created by the Tao of illusions. It's similar to your illusion maze domain. Furthermore, ancient god Xia Yang wasn't the creator of this dimension. Many gods lived here a long time ago. Some divine realm experts guessed that the divine illusion dimension was a fragment of space left behind after the ancient era shattered. Nan Gongsheng inspected the fading dimension with a weird gaze. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng even had the illusion that the matter he touched in this space was like the time in a mirror, but it was also real. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's heart shook as he thought about the ancient dream realm and the dimension of his left eye. From a certain perspective, the two seemed to have the same goal. As time passed, the space they were in gradually faded and became transparent. Most of them were waiting for the return journey. However, on this day, a shocking piece of news spread through Xianyang Palace. Quick! Stop the Blue Serpent King! A voice sounded from within the Xianyang Palace group. Not good! The Blue Serpent King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon have obtained the keys to the Yuan sealing divine chains. An atmosphere of panic and fear spread throughout the human camp. What? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng jumped up in fright when they saw the commotion. Right at this moment, whoosh! 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 The group from the Ji family chased over, and the person leading them was Ji Lan. Purple-haired demonic duo? Ji Lan paused for a moment before revealing an urgent expression. The Blue Serpent King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon have been hiding amongst the humans. Half a day ago, they used the Imperials to break through and obtain the keys to the Yuan sealing divine chains. This will be troublesome. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. It's almost impossible to save them, Ji Lan said with a sobbing tone. Apart from us and a small number of people with eye bloodlines that can see through the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's concealment, most people can't even see them. Chapter 868. It's almost unsalvageable. At the last moment of the divine illusion dimension's end, this piece of news caused a huge commotion. An aura of danger once again spread across Xianyang Palace. Elites from Sky Suspension Palace, the Great Gone Imperials, Sky Sword Pavilion, the Duanmu family, and many other forces started to search for the Blue Serpent King and Ji Lan. However, Xianyang Palace was an independent dimension, and all kinds of senses and divine senses were greatly suppressed. How hard would it be to find two people in such a huge palace? The most troublesome thing was, only a limited number of people could track the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's movements. Zhao Feng, quickly think of something! Ji Lan seemed to be grasping at a life-saving straw. Her tone was slightly pleading. For some reason, she had an inexplicable confidence in this purple-haired young man, whose cultivation was not very high. If even Zhao Feng couldn't do anything, then the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would be destroyed at the last moment. There's only one way left. Zhao Feng sighed after thinking for a long time. Xianyang Palace was very big, and it would be very hard to find two people who were purposely hiding, even if he used the Eye of Heaven. Last time, the reason why Zhao Feng was able to confirm the location of the fake demonic duo was because they had been exposed. This time, the Blue Serpent King and Ji Lan would definitely be on guard against Zhao Feng in case they faced the gaze of the God Eye again. What is it? Ji Lan's beautiful purple eyes revealed a wisp of hope. However, Zhao Feng only glanced at her and didn't say anything. Ji Lan instantly understood that the mark of destruction on her couldn't escape the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's senses. Let's go. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other. Shua! The substandard god weapon on Zhao Feng's arm lit up faintly, and a layer of silver light appeared on their bodies. In the next instant, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng disappeared under the gazes of the Ji family. This is the power of the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world? The elites of the Ji family were dumbfounded. Ji Lan and company obviously didn't know that Zhao Feng had left 19 spatial marks around Xianyang Palace. Meanwhile, the Peak Kings of Sky Void Palace, the Great Gon Imperials, and other forces headed toward the outskirts of Xianyang Palace. I hope I can make it in time. Senior brother Zhuge took a deep breath and said, There is only one way to stop them. At this moment, the geniuses and kings within Xianyang Palace started to quickly leave the palace. After some time, at a certain moment, outside Xianyang Palace, we're almost there. A layer of transparent dark green camouflage light blended with the surroundings and was rapidly moving in a certain direction. Ahead, outside the god-forbidden formation, the giant shadow of the black-scaled dragon coiled in the air and could already be seen. The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon were disguised within the dark green camouflage. Lord Black Serpent Dragon, we're almost there. The blue Serpent King's face was filled with excitement. Stop! Right at this moment, a silver-gray figure flashed, and two purple-haired figures appeared. Purple-haired demonic duo! How is this possible? The hearts of the blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon shook. Meow meow! A dancing thieving cat appeared in front of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Shua! The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's figures appeared. They were first shocked, then grim, and then they started to laugh loudly. Ha! Zhao Feng! Your Soul Dao I bloodline techniques won't be able to do anything to us. The blue WYRM King roared as an emperor intent that could freeze heaven and earth appeared, and a layer of blue frost instantly formed on the nearby grass and trees. When the blue WYRM King's body was covered in blue scales that were as thick as ice, the aura of his bloodline and body was enough to make normal kings collapse. Emperor intent! The blue WYRM King has become an emperor! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's expressions changed slightly. The blue WYRM King's bloodline could be ranked in the top 10 Imperial Dao bloodlines. Once he became an emperor, his battle power would be extremely close to a peak emperor. Illusion God Mask! The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon clicked his tongue as a clown mask appeared on his face, but it radiated a powerful Soul Dao illusion. That's an inheritance sacred weapon of the Dao of illusions. Lao Feng's expression became solemn. No wonder the blue WYRM King and Nan Gongsheng were so confident. The blue WYRM King's strength had surpassed Emperor Mu Yun's level due to his powerful bloodline. On the other hand, the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon was extremely resilient against Soul Dao secret techniques and illusions. Now that it had obtained a Soul Dao inheritance sacred artifact from Xianyang Palace, it wasn't scared of Emperor-level Soul Dao secret techniques. 2-on-2, let's fight! And Gongsheng licked his lips. The purple and blood-colored symbol on his forehead was bright red, and the undulation of power from his body seemed to freeze the space nearby. Zhao Feng opened his left eye bloodline, and a layer of gold and blue light appeared around him as the aura of his sacred lightning body spread. However, this was just what Zhao Feng was doing on the surface. He had already started to control the king and elite venomous bees within the misty spatial world. The two started to accumulate power and were ready to fight. Heh! We're not that stupid! You two thieves, one inherited the power of the evil god, and the other has the substandard god misty spatial world. The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon had cunning expressions. They could clearly see the situation within Xianyang Palace through the black WYRM King. Whoosh! A dark green light flashed, and the blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon disappeared. Zhao Feng found that there were no traces of the two nearby. Underground, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked down at the ground at the same time. The crystal horn on the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's head spun rapidly and flashed with a bright orange light. Whoosh! The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon took the blue WYRM king and burrowed into the ground. Earth escape. This chameleon knows how to burrow into the ground. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing's expressions changed dramatically. Although the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's body and battle power were slightly weaker than the blue WYRM king's, its support and escaping abilities were top tier. Zhao Feng, do you know how to burrow into the ground? Nan Gongxing asked. Zhao Feng's face twitched, and he rolled his eyes. He wasn't omnipotent. At this moment, he regretted not choosing the Earth of Wind Lightning when he first chose the 5 elemental Wind Lightning. If he had chosen the Earth of Wind Lightning, Zhao Feng would have been able to travel through the ground. Zhao Feng stomped on the ground. The soil was extremely hard, and it took him a lot of effort to create a crack, let alone traversing through the soil. After all, this was Xieyang Palace. Even if it wasn't made of stone, it was still not normal. However, the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's bloodline had the ability to break through the ground. Meow meow! The little thieving cat suddenly waved a spade and dug into the ground. Bung! Boom! Suddenly, the ground nearby began to shake violently. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing could feel the ground beneath them shatter. Arg! The blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon howled as they moved through the ground. Wah! Wah! Both of them vomited blood under the terrifying power of the collapsing soil layer, and they were almost stuck below. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had weird expressions as they looked at the spade in the little thieving cat's hands. A bottomless crack appeared in the ground where the little thieving cat had dug. The cracks spread in every direction. Zhao Feng guessed that the little thieving cat's spade had a strong ability to dig through metal and earth. This spade wasn't an offensive weapon, it should be a support-type substandard god weapon. Boom! Boom! The little thieving cat waved the spade and dug a few more times. Damn it! The blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon barely managed to break through the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. The two of you obediently hand over the key to the origin sealing divine chain. The divine illusion dimension is about to leave, and everyone will be able to safely survive. Zhao Feng said. If it was a 2-on-2, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had a high chance of winning. However, if the blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon wanted to escape, it would be difficult to make them stay. Winning and killing were two different concepts. Whoosh! 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 Right at this moment, the sound of flying came from afar. We've arrived! Xian Yuan Wenhua turned into a streak of light and was the first to arrive. Behind him, one could faintly see the figures of Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao, senior martial brother Zhuge, and other powerful kings. Invisibly, the blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon were pincered. Zhao Feng will succeed as long as you can stall them for a while. Senior martial brother Zhuge exclaimed. No problem. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had confident expressions. Behind them, the elite kings that were chasing after them couldn't help but feel relieved. It was all thanks to Zhao Feng's substandard god weapon, the Misty Spatial World, that he managed to stop the blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon. Ha! The blue WYRM king started to laugh even though he was being sandwiched. The blue WYRM king and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon stood where they were and didn't move. What are you laughing about? The hearts of Zhao Feng, Nan Gongxing, and the people chasing after them dropped. All of you won't be able to escape this. The blue WYRM king's eyes were cold as a mocking smile appeared on his face, and his voice was calm and powerful. When right at this moment, the roar of a dragon sounded from outside the god's forbidden array and caused heaven and earth to change color. Everyone's gazes couldn't help but turn toward the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon outside the god's forbidden array. Lord Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, this is the key to the Yuan sealing divine chains. A muscular male with thick eyebrows threw a black key as thick as a tree trunk toward the black destruction serpent dragon outside the crack. God Chain's key! The humans in the back focused their vision, and when they saw this scene, their hearts thumped loudly. Gu Chaoji! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing exclaimed. The muscular male with thick eyebrows who had handed over the key was Gu Chaoji from Earth's Spirit Hall. Hee, Lord Black Destruction's Serpent Dragon saw through your plan long ago. This key has already been given to someone else. We're just a cover. The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon gave a smug smile. Gu Chaoji. As a human genius, why are you helping the Black Destruction's Serpent Dragon? Nan Gongxing couldn't help but ask. Back in the underground palace, Gu Chaoji's Earth Spirit Hall had teamed up with Nan Gongxing and Zhao Feng's 10,000 Sacred Clan. Those of us who came in later have the mark of destruction placed on us, and its control isn't just strong. You can stall for time and leave alive, but we won't be able to. The Blue Wyrm King Wei Jing said emotionlessly. Zhao Feng and company fell silent. Under the dual effects of the threat to their lives and the temptation of benefits, most of the people present would definitely make the same choice as the Blue Wyrm King and the others. At this moment, the situation couldn't be changed. Outside Xieyang Palace, ding! The yuan sealing divine chains on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave off a crisp sound, and the aura of the Destruction Dragon rose to another level. Pun! Pun! Everyone's hearts sped up, and their bodies went cold. Chapter 869. This series of shocking turns of events caught everyone off guard. The Blue Serpent King and the Black Destruction Serpent King were just a cover. The real key had already been given to someone else. The Black Serpent Dragon controlled everything in Xieyang Palace. Being an existence that had lived for countless years, its intelligence was once again underestimated by the humans. At that distance, no one was able to react in time and stop it. Ding Ka! The black chains on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body opened, and the sound of metal resounded across heaven and earth like the sound of despair and the end of its life. Wu, everything will end. I will first tear Yuan's apart, then destroy Xieyang's foundation bit by bit. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon roared into the sky as a scarlet-black flame appeared on its black-scaled body. The aura of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon instantly doubled. Hu boom! A forbidden and cold destruction draconic might covered the entire dimension that Xieyang Palace was in. Everything in heaven and earth seemed to tremble and fall into endless fear. Within Xieyang Palace, the outsider elites seemed to become petrified. Their bodies and bloodlines trembled, and they were unable to use their true yuan. They could only tremble. The bloodline aura of the Destruction Dragon race, ranked 9th among the 10,000 ancient races, stood at the peak of a myth. Now that the yuan-sealing divine chains have been opened, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon will be able to circulate its dragon yuan divine power. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing barely managed to stabilize themselves, but they couldn't hide the shock in their eyes. Within Xieyang Palace, many kings and half-step kings that had the mark of destruction placed on them knelt on the ground. In terms of bloodline, state of existence, and power, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon surpassed everyone else by too much. In this moment of danger, Zhao Feng gently touched the substandard god bracer in his hand. A wicked smile appeared on Nan Gongxing's face. However, in the next instant, a change occurred. When the yuan-sealing divine chains that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had just opened merged with the giant key and released a wave of dazzling five-colored lightning. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the five-colored godly lightning extended into countless electric chains that wrapped around the Black Serpent Dragon. Arg! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's black-scaled body twisted and convulsed in the air as it let out miserable cries. What a terrifying lightning power! The power of wind lightning within Zhao Feng's body became restless, and even the divine tribulation lightning trembled slightly. Zhao Feng had no way of estimating just how terrifyingly powerful the five-colored divine lightning was. Even the Black Serpent Dragon had suffered grievous injuries. Boom! The black flood dragon's body was covered in 5-colored lightning chains. Its huge body landed on the ground, creating a huge crater and sending dust flying everywhere. "Shameless Xia Yang! How dare you trick me!" The black serpent dragon's enraged roar shook the heavens. Just the remnant aura alone was enough to make many humans feel as if their minds were about to split apart. Boom! Boom! In that area of dust, the black serpent dragon's huge body struggled and rolled. The 5-colored lightning kept flashing and cutting, even sinking deep into its body. TSK, leaving his opponent some leeway is not Master Xia Yang's style. A wicked voice sounded from within Nan Gongxing's body. The ancient god Xia Yang knew that he couldn't seal the black flood dragon forever. The reason he left behind this key was to further plot against the black serpent dragon. Nan Gongxing explained. He had learned about this from the evil god's mental thought entity. Who the experts within Xia Yang Palace couldn't help but let out a long breath. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Everything had its vanquisher, and every mountain was taller than the last. Although the black serpent dragon had unparalleled battle power, it had been sealed by the ancient god Xia Yang. That wasn't all. The ancient god Xia Yang was still within Xia Yang Palace, and he had left something behind to plot against the black serpent dragon. Unfortunately, the key has been stored for too long, and the power of the divine lightning isn't even 1% of its peak. Otherwise, the wicked voice within Nan Gongxing's body said regretfully, "Let's retreat for now." Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye could see that the 5-colored lightning chains around the black serpent dragon's body were weakening. At the same time, an almost undetectable crack appeared on the surface of the yuan sealing divine chains. Zhao Feng was sure that the 5-colored lightning wasn't able to kill the black serpent dragon. The black serpent dragon might be able to recover soon. The human elites that had just arrived understood and retreated into the depths of Xia Yang Palace. The divine illusion dimension is about to end. The longer we can last, the higher our chances of survival will be. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge decisively retreated. The flowers and plants within Xia Yang Palace started to become fainter and more transparent. Whoosh! 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 The king elites that had just arrived all moved away from the black serpent dragon. The blue serpent king and the 1,000 changes illusionary dragon took this opportunity to hide into the ground. The other humans didn't have time to care about them. Zhao Feng could clearly feel that the black serpent dragon's movements had become much smaller as they retreated. Half a day later, the geniuses and elites of the various forces retreated to the depths of Xia Yang Palace and gathered together. When the black serpent dragon comes in, the overlapping divine illusion dimension will leave the continent zone. Our chances of survival aren't small. The 8th prince of the Imperials gave a faint smile. At least the black serpent dragon wasn't as threatening as before. Time slowly passed by. Everyone within Xia Yang Palace was in pain. Another half a day passed, and the black serpent dragon's struggles outside Xia Yang Palace had completely stopped. Humans, as a member of the World Destroyer clan, even if I'm injured and weak, I can still easily crush you ants. A dark roar resounded across Xia Yang Palace through the mark of destruction. Boom! Boom! The god's forbidden array outside Xia Yang Palace started to shake once more. Enter! The black destruction serpent dragon turned into a humanoid male covered in black dragon scales, opened a crack, and entered Xia Yang Palace with a whoosh. Outside Xia Yang Palace, the yuan sealing divine chains had broken into pieces. After losing the yuan sealing divine chains, the black destruction serpent dragon could turn into its human form and use secret techniques. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, the black-scaled male revealed a deadly expression as he was covered in a layer of scarlet-black flames. A faint black tornado appeared around him and swept across everything within dozens of miles. Whoosh! Boom! Boom! Wherever the human-shaped black serpent dragon passed, everything would be burned black. The black serpent dragon is charging in! The expressions of some of the human elites within Xia Yang Palace changed dramatically. Although the black-scaled male wasn't big, his destructive power was shocking. Even under the suppression of Xianyang Palace's power, he was still able to shatter mountains. Most of the human elites were in the depths of Xianyang Palace, within an underground cellar. Yu Fei, we've worked together to dissolve the mark of destruction in your body. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing slowly let go of each other. Zhao Yufei opened her eyes and revealed a look of joy, but then worry and furrowed her eyebrows. Zhao Feng knew that she was worried about the safety of the other members of the Duanmu family. Yufei, it's too late. The mark of destruction in your body was strengthened by the Black Serpent Dragon, and it took a long time to dissolve. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. Dissolving the mark of destruction was a very troublesome matter. Zhao Feng didn't have the responsibility nor the ability to dispel the mark of destruction for everyone. The benefit of dissolving the mark of destruction was that the Black Serpent Dragon wouldn't be able to sense it after it entered Xianyang Palace. The Black Serpent Dragon would first sense the targets with the mark of destruction in Xianyang Palace, and avoid the ones that didn't have the mark of destruction. Therefore, everyone in the palace was trying to think of a way to dissolve the mark of destruction. However, only a small number of people were able to do so. Only Zhao Feng, Mo Dongyao, Nan Gongxing, and a small number of people had the ability to dissolve it. Rumble! Outside the Xianyang Palace complex, the human-shaped Black Serpent Dragon summoned a faint black tornado of light and attacked. Arg! A small number of geniuses and elites weren't able to dodge in time and were instantly turned into pieces by the whirlwind. Whoosh! The speed and agility of the human-shaped Black Serpent Dragon increased dramatically, and it purposely dragged some of the human elites into its destruction. Most of the humans in Xianyang Palace started to panic. The geniuses and kings that hadn't dissolved the mark of destruction were the first to be slaughtered. They didn't even have the ability to fight back. Whether they lived or died, whether they died earlier or later, it all depended on luck. However, two purple-haired figures had cold expressions on one of the towers. They didn't show any signs of panic. The Black Serpent Dragon is heavily injured. It's just forcing itself to charge into Xianyang Palace to vent its anger, Nan Gongxing said. After being tricked by Xianyang, the Black Serpent Dragon's threat decreased by more than half. Zhao Feng and company didn't have the mark of destruction and the misty spatial world. Their chances of survival were the highest. The Destruction Dragon race's bloodline is really monstrous. It can increase one's strength through destruction and even recover one's yuan qi. Apparently, the Destruction Dragon race can absorb a type of origin power of destruction every time they destroy a dimension or world and use that to strengthen themselves. Zhao Feng sighed. This was the specialty of a race that was ranked 9th among the 10,000 ancient races. Otherwise, why would the Destruction Dragon race want to destroy a world so easily without any benefits? Arg! Run! Fear and chaos broke out within Xianyang Palace as the geniuses and elites ran in all directions. Roar! At a certain moment, the Black Serpent Dragon roared and charged toward the area where Zhao Feng and company were. Before the power even arrived, Zhao Feng's body and soul started to tremble. He felt as if he was about to be destroyed and turn into dust. Shwa! A layer of silver light covered Zhao Feng and company, and their figures started to fade before disappearing. In the next instant, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing appeared outside of Xianyang Palace. Before this, Zhao Feng had left more than a dozen spatial marks outside of Xianyang Palace. Zhao Feng suddenly exclaimed as he looked at the transparent space in front of him. Faintly, his god's spiritual eye could see through the transparent space and see the hazy mountains and rivers below. The aura of the continent zone. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. A ripple of energy came from the clan token on his body, and it seemed to be pulling him in. So, before entering the divine illusion dimension, the super forces would give a return token to the elites that were entering. When the divine illusion dimension was at its faintest, they could use the return token to return to the clan and not get lost. We can go back now! Exclamations of joy sounded from the divine illusion dimension. Shwa! 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 The bodies of some geniuses and elites sank into the transparent space and flew toward the hazy space of the continent zone. Those figures soon disappeared. The space in front of him seemed to become a mirror, like it was a dream. A real physical dimension. The black serpent dragon, which was destroying everything in its path, couldn't help but pause as it looked at the hazy continent zone below. A cold and cruel light flashed through its eyes. Shwa! 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 More and more elites, including those outside of Xieyang Palace and in other corners of the divine illusion dimension, disappeared. Nangongxing, we'll meet again in the future! Zhao Feng's body had already sunk downwards, and he followed the pull of the return token into a misty passageway that seemed to be both real and illusionary. An unknown number of breaths passed. Shwa! Zhao Feng's body sank and appeared on a black stage. The exclamations of the disciples of the 10,000 sacred clan sounded. This was the 10,000 sacred clan of the Tiafeng Great Island Zone. Chapter 870. Divine Illusion Dimension. Right now, the matter of space was as faint as smoke and clouds, like the time in a mirror. Everything seemed transparent and empty. At this moment, a layer of illusionary world phantom images enshrouded heaven and earth, and it was gradually breaking away from the continent zone. The first to leave was the northwestern region of the continent zone, not the continent dynasty. Inside a hall that looked like a giant beast. You Tianhao! Count yourself lucky this time. I'll let you have the heavenly barbarian god's inheritance first. A red-haired man whose entire body was glowing with a golden light was holding a long spear in his hand. He stood proudly on a huge, fire-winged dragon that was several hundred feet long, like a fiery god of war. Just the aura from the flaming winged dragon was close to that of an emperor. Opposite the red-haired man was a black-haired young man. His face was pale and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Although this black-haired young man Yu Tianhao was only at the middle stage of the Void God realm, he had a shocking battle intent. You are very strong, but you're not my true opponent. Yu Tianhao wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth, exuding an indescribable confidence. The red-haired male was too strong. His bloodline and cultivation were perfect, and he had broken through to the Void God realm during the early stages of the divine illusion dimension. Moreover, he had obtained a blazing winged dragon that was close to a great emperor. If he hadn't obtained the acknowledgement of the will of the heavenly barbarian god's inheritance, Yu Tianhao would have suffered a crushing defeat. Arrogant and ignorant! In the entire divine illusion dimension, only that Xian Yuan one is my greatest enemy. It's a pity that I didn't meet him this time. The red-haired man's lips curled into a mocking smile. It seemed like he didn't care about Yu Tianhao at all. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the fading void, Yu Tianhao and the red-haired man quickly disappeared. After that, the geniuses in the Lord Dynasty started to quickly disappear like Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng and the others were among the last to disappear. If one looked at the divine illusion dimension as a transparent world that overlapped with the continent zone space, the divine illusion dimension would be like a transparent world. In that case, the region closest to the northwestern region of the continent would be the first to break away from the overlap. The second was the central continent. Finally, there were the 10,000 sacred clan and the Tsang Ocean True Martial Sacred Land. If one looked at the entire divine illusion dimension, the most dangerous place was Xieyang Palace. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, the geniuses and elites of Xieyang Palace were filled with joy as they returned to the continent zone. Although Xieyang Palace was the most dangerous place, the fortune here was much better than the other places. Their future would be immeasurable if they could leave this place alive. A real physical space. Very good, very good. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon coldly watched as these geniuses and elites disappeared, but it didn't stop them. It licked its lips in anticipation. Wherever I go, there will be destruction and end. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's figure slowly sank into the hazy dimension of the continent zone. Continent zone, coastal region, Tianfeng Great Island Zone. Whoosh! A purple-haired youth appeared on the platform of the 10,000 Sacred Clan. It's here! It's him! Zhao Feng! This kid is actually the first one to appear? The exclamations of some members of the 10,000 Sacred Clan came from near the black stage. I am the first one. Zhao Feng stood rooted to the spot, stunned. After thinking about it, he understood the reason. He was chasing the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon in the Divine Illusion Dimension and entered the area where the Divine Illusion Dimension overlapped with the continent. The continent had connected to the Divine Illusion Dimension earlier than this place, so it had left the Divine Illusion Dimension earlier as well. This was why Zhao Feng was the first one to return. Junior Martial Brother Zhao! What did you get in the Divine Illusion Dimension? Junior! Why did you come out first and the others are nowhere to be seen? The juniors and seniors of the 10,000 Sacred Clan surrounded the stage and stared at Zhao Feng with twinkling eyes. The changes in Zhao Feng's body were too big. Late stage Great Origin Core Realm? This brat was only at the middle stage Small Origin Core Realm before entering the Divine Illusion Dimension. Some of the inner disciples discussed. In just a few months, he had jumped from the middle stage Small Origin Core Realm to the late stage Great Origin Core Realm. That was shocking. Most of the time in the Divine Illusion Dimension was spent on exploring and not cultivating. This speed isn't fast. Zhao Feng shook his head. He didn't spend much time cultivating in the Divine Illusion Dimension, so it wasn't fast compared to Nan Gongxing and company. Although Zhao Feng's improvement wasn't any slower than Nan Gongxing's, the situation was different since he had recultivated. Therefore, Zhao Feng wasn't satisfied with his own cultivation speed, and these words came from the bottom of his heart. These words made some of the juniors and seniors of the 10,000 Sacred Clan reveal weird expressions, as if they had been choked. This brat is just acting. This brat must have had great fortune in the Divine Illusion Dimension. Everyone's gazes locked onto Zhao Feng. They were filled with heat, envy, jealousy, unwillingness, and various other emotions. There were even one or two Void God Realm divine senses among them. Zhao Feng! A surge of magnificent power crushed over and caused the soul dimension to tremble. The noisy area suddenly became silent, and many people's thoughts seemed to be suppressed by an invisible mountain. Different worlds, the difference is really big. Zhao Feng almost couldn't get used to it, and he sighed in his heart. The pressure in the Divine Illusion Dimension was too strong. The power and destruction that a Void God Realm King could unleash was thousands of times weaker than in this dimension. Zhao Feng. There was a hint of anger in the king's voice, and the invisible pressure suddenly increased. The brat acted like he wasn't paying attention to the king's words. In this instant, the members of the clan around Zhao Feng found it hard to breathe, and their souls seemed to freeze. However, Zhao Feng stood where he was, as if he didn't feel anything at all. This scene made the Void God Realm King that asked the question exclaim. The other half-step kings and many experts of the older generation felt like something was wrong. Elder, what do you want? Zhao Feng raised his head and looked at the cloth-robed elder surrounded by magnificent power in the air. In the distance, a middle-aged king in snow-white robes arrived. It was Huang Yunhu's master, King Lu Yun. Elder Wu, we can talk. If you start a fight with a junior, won't you be lowering your status? King Lu Yun quickly tried to calm things down. In the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, Zhao Feng's backing wasn't just strong. Apparently he had a Void God Realm Emperor behind him, and Duke Na Feng had praised him and tried to recruit him. This brat was disrespectful to an elder, so he should be punished. I won't care about it. However, you need to report the whereabouts of the other members of the clan. Elder Wu harumphed coldly. Elder Wu suppressed the anger and displeasure in his heart. A junior at the Origin Core Realm dared to disrespect him just because he had a strong backing? He didn't even put a king in his eyes. Zhao Feng, you appeared half a day earlier than expected. Tell me where the others are. King Lu Yun asked. Why was Zhao Feng the only one to return? Did something happen to the others? This question made the hearts of the upper echelon of the 10,000 Sacred Clan tense. After all, those that entered the divine illusion dimension were either prodigies of the younger generation or elites of the older generation. The life and death of this group of elites might decide the future of the 10,000 sacred clan. The others? Zhao Feng thought for a moment before answering. I split up with them at the start of the divine illusion dimension. At least at that time, they were fine, and there weren't many casualties. During the early stages of the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng stayed with the group of the 10,000 sacred clan for a while. After the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon appeared, Zhao Feng teamed up with Nangongxing and left the group. Split up? Why did you leave the group? Elder Wu's expression became grim. This was the question that everyone was concerned about. Because of a disaster, the sealed Black Destruction Serpent Dragon appeared, and everyone ran their separate ways. Zhao Feng briefly explained the situation. Most of what he said was true. What he really hid was that he looked down on the strength of the group of the 10,000 sacred clan and decided to go alone with Nangongxing. Reality proved that. This was a decision that changed everything. During the early stages of the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng teamed up with Nangongxing and passed the weakest stage. Destruction Serpent Dragon? Black Destruction Serpent Dragon? Hearing this, the members of the 10,000 sacred clan felt like they were listening to a legend. Humph! That's nonsense! Elder Wu's expression was cold as his king intent circled around Zhao Feng in an attempt to pressure him, but he found that he wasn't affected at all. Zhao Feng then patiently told them the details. However, Elder Wu and the others continued to raise doubts one after another, asking for more and more details. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed, and he started to become impatient. Then let me ask you, what fortune did you have in the divine illusion dimension? How did a measly origin core realm break through to the late-stage great origin core realm in such a short amount of time without any problems? Elder Wu's eyes twinkled. This junior in front of him didn't even react to his king intent. He definitely had great fortune in the divine illusion dimension. Fortune? This isn't a big secret. Many people have entered the ancient mysterious palace. As for my cultivation speed, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's fast. Zhao Feng answered everything truthfully. Elder Wu's provocative questioning and overbearing attitude made him more and more impatient. Ancient mysterious palace? What a joke! This isn't fast? That's a joke. The anger on Elder Wu's face became stronger and stronger. A junior at the origin core realm dared to not put him in his eyes and even tease him? However, he didn't expect that everything Zhao Feng said was the truth. After the divine illusion dimension ended, the name, Zhao Feng, would shake the 3-star and 4-star powers of the Lord Dynasty. It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. I'll be leaving now. After saying that, Zhao Feng walked out of the stage. He was too lazy to explain. He still wanted to go back and check his harvest from the divine illusion dimension. His harvest from the divine illusion dimension was too plentiful. His ancient metal ring wasn't enough, but luckily, he had obtained the substandard god weapon, the Misty Spatial World. Brat, stop! If you don't give me an explanation, I'll take you down first. Elder Wu was enraged, and his magnificent power covered everything within a 100-mile radius as an invisible force grabbed onto Zhao Feng. Normal origin core realms wouldn't be able to fight back against the magnificent power at all. Shut up! Zhao Feng was also enraged. He circulated the power of his sacred lightning body and kicked toward Elder Wu. Boom! Boom! The instant this kick landed, heaven and earth changed color, and thunder boomed as a terrifying golden blue physical force pierced through the air. Arg! Just a wisp of this aura made the nearby members of the clan feel as if they were being crushed by a mountain. Many of them spat out blood and fell to the ground. Not good! I forgot. Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly as he realized the difference between this place and the divine illusion dimension. The power of his sacred lightning body, which was close to the early stages of the 5th level, was terrifying enough to crush normal kings. Bam! Elder Wu screamed as his magnificent power shattered, and he was kicked back several hundred miles. His bones almost broke as he spat out blood in midair. Chapter 871. Plop! 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 Zhao Feng's kick didn't just send Elder Wu, who was a void god realm king, flying. The surrounding members also fell to the ground, and many of them spat out blood. The tyrannical force of this kick was like a gigantic thunder mountain weighing tens of millions of kilograms, shaking the heavens. Bam! Boom! The mountain gates nearby were still shaking and shaking, deafening like thunder. How is this possible? The blood of the disciples far away started to boil, and they were all dazed. Another king elder, King Lu Yun, had his mouth opened so wide that his jaw almost fell off. To be able to send Elder Wu flying with a kick just by relying on his physical body. King Lu Yun's back went cold, and he was dazed. Even though the truth was right in front of him, King Lu Yun still doubted his eyes. Boom! On the other side, Elder Wu flew back more than 200 miles and crashed into a mountain, causing dust to billow everywhere. How is this possible? Elder Wu's face was pale white, and it was as if all the bones in his body had fallen apart. He couldn't even get up. On the black stage, Zhao Feng attracted many shocked and fearful gazes. Some of the injured members of the clan didn't even know what had happened. Everyone, I'm sorry. I didn't control my strength well. Zhao Feng apologized to the members of the clan that had been injured, but this caused even more screams to come. He indeed didn't want to hurt these innocent members of the clan. Zhao Feng was different from Nan Gongxing. His strength was accumulated bit by bit, and he didn't want to kill the innocent. However, he had just come out of the divine illusion dimension, so he was still lacking in control of his strength. If he was in the divine illusion dimension, the power of this kick would be suppressed to the extreme, and it wouldn't be so strong. Furthermore, before Zhao Feng entered the divine illusion dimension, his sacred lightning body was still at the initial 4th level. Wood of wind lightning! Zhao Feng spread his arms, and a faint green ripple of wood lightning spread out. Whoosh! The injured members of the clan were wrapped around by the wood of wind lightning, and their bodies became numb as their injuries started to heal. The wood of wind lightning even had the effect of expelling poison and hidden injuries. The quality and effect of this wood of wind lightning is comparable to a void god realm king. Not far away, King Lu Yun's eyes flickered. He sized up Zhao Feng with a completely new gaze. He no longer saw Zhao Feng as a junior, but as a king among his peers. Thank you, Brother Zhao! The sect members who had their wounds healed felt that their bodies had received benefits, and their life levels had improved. Suddenly, the disciples of the sects looked at Zhao Feng with a hint of respect in their eyes, apart from fear. After all, Zhao Feng would never intentionally hurt the innocent. Zhao Feng, you're very strong, but you're a member of the 10,000 sacred clan. How did you injure an elder? King Lu Yun took a deep breath and couldn't help but ask. If he doesn't make a move, I won't accidentally injure him, Zhao Feng said matter-of-factly. King Lu Yun was rendered speechless. Indeed, it was Elder Wu who made the first move. Zhao Feng's counterattack could be seen as self-defense. However, this self-defense was a bit too much. However, what Zhao Feng said wasn't a lie. He had indeed accidentally attacked. Can I leave now? Zhao Feng acted as if he was about to leave the black stage. Wait for a bit. Beads of sweat appeared on King Lu Yun's forehead, and his heart tensed up. Thinking about what happened to Elder Wu when he tried to stop Zhao Feng, he became even more wary. Elder, what do you want? Unexpectedly, Zhao Feng's footsteps paused slightly. His expression was calm, and he didn't have any intentions of attacking. King Lu Yun couldn't help but let out a long breath. In reality, King Lu Yun had thought too much. If Elder Wu had spoken nicely, Zhao Feng wouldn't have attacked. If Elder Wu had attacked, how could Zhao Feng just sit there and do nothing? This Zhao Feng, the group from the 10,000 sacred clan that entered the divine illusion dimension hasn't appeared yet, and you came out alone. Do you want to wait a bit? King Luyun said in a calm tone. He had a tone of suggestion and didn't force Zhao Feng to stay. Sure, I'll wait a bit. Zhao Feng nodded his head and felt that what King Luyun said was reasonable. He hadn't done anything wrong, so he wasn't afraid of being confronted. After saying that, he sat cross-legged on the pitch-black pedestal with his eyes slightly closed. King Luyun let out a breath when he saw that Zhao Feng cooperated and stayed. The other members of the clan found that Zhao Feng wasn't unreasonable. He was actually quite easygoing. That's right. Why didn't he just talk things out? Why did he have to attack? If Elder Wu didn't attack first, Zhao Feng wouldn't have fought back in self-defense. The members of the clan that had been healed by Zhao Feng discussed and agreed with Zhao Feng. On the black stage, Zhao Feng sat down and started to organize his gains from the Divine Illusion dimension while waiting. Zhao Feng had stayed in the Divine Illusion dimension for several months, and he had gained a lot. The resources that Zhao Feng had obtained could be said to be enormous, and there weren't any low-tier resources. Any one of them would be treasures in the continent zone. Among them, the most valuable were two substandard god weapons: the Misty Spatial World and the God's Slaying Arrow. The Misty Spatial World was the bracer on Zhao Feng's hand. Although it was a support-type substandard god weapon, it was very useful. As for the God's Slaying Arrow, Zhao Feng had obtained two, and the Imperials had obtained the third. Zhao Feng couldn't estimate the power of the God's Slaying Arrow, but he was far from being able to use it with his current cultivation. Apart from that, the God's Slaying Arrow was a one-time use substandard god weapon. It was said to be able to kill gods. Below the two substandard god weapons were the 100 Origins Sacred Honey and other peerless treasures, as well as the legendary ores from the Building of Refinement. Those legendary ores could at least be used to forge heaven-grade weapons, inheritance sacred weapons, and even substandard god weapons. Some of the more valuable ores could even reach the divine grade. Although the value of these ores was high, they weren't very useful to Zhao Feng right now, and they might be useful in the future. There were also peak-grade treasures such as the Green Water Sky Lotus, the Spiritual Flesh Snow Jade Lotus, the Golden Bones, and the Soul-Suppressing Stone. There were quite a few of them. There were also a lot of Green Water Sky Lotus and Spiritual Flesh Snow Jade Lotus. Resources of this level were extremely tempting to Void God Realm kings. Zhao Feng had obtained a lot of them in the Divine Illusion dimension, especially in Xieyang Palace. As for resources below the level of the Green Water Sky Lotus, such as the Water Mother Essence and the Boundless Wood, they were piled up like mountains. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng had obtained the substandard god weapon, the Misty Spatial World, he wouldn't be able to store all these resources. Time passed by. Zhao Feng's consciousness was immersed in the little world within the Misty Spatial World. This little world had its own mountains and rivers, and it could contain living beings. It was more than one level higher than the little world of normal emperors. Of course, the top treasures from the Divine Illusion dimension were all stored in the interspatial dimension of the substandard god weapon. This interspatial dimension was more stable, and its defense was stronger, making it harder for external forces to enter. Wing in a corner of the little world was a group of 5 poisoned distinct bees. There were 3 king bees, over 100 elite bees, and a few hundred remaining. Their auras were comparable to late-stage Great Origin Core realms. These venomous bees had suicidal attacks, and they could even kill enemies stronger than themselves. The ones that Zhao Feng had enslaved had good potential, and he could continue to raise them in the little world. The 5 poison distinct bees needed pollen to grow. Zhao Feng had obtained mountains of rare plants in the Divine Illusion dimension, and those that he didn't need or didn't want were left for the 5 poison distinct bees. Zhao Feng believed that these 5 poison distinct bees would be able to reach the elite level soon. Many of the elite ones would be able to reach the king level. Zhao Feng's goal was to raise these venomous bees to the point where they could threaten 3-star powers. Whoosh! 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 While Zhao Feng sat down and organized his spoils of war, the sound of flying could be heard. An hour later, several more kings landed near the black stage. Among them was a brown-robed elder surrounded by a layer of magnificent power. His aura threatened the kings present, and his cultivation had reached the peak void god realm. Elder Een! The other kings all greeted Elder Een respectfully when they saw him. There were very few peak-tier kings in the 10,000 sacred clan, and Elder Een was one of them. Elder Een, you've come at the right time. The injured Elder Wu had a sorry look on his face as he barely managed to fly in front of King Lingqiong. Elder Wu, how did you end up like this? Elder Een was surprised. It's all that bastard's fault. He obtained great fortune in the divine illusion dimension and didn't put us older kings in his eyes. Elder Wu added fuel to the fire as he told what had happened. Something like that happened? Hearing that, Elder Yin's expression became grim, and his gaze landed on the purple-haired youth on the black stage. The purple-haired youth sat down and cultivated. The arrival of several kings didn't cause his expression to change at all. Any other Void God Realm king from a 2-star or 3-star power wouldn't be too happy seeing this. Elder Een, your disciple is also in the divine illusion dimension and hasn't come out yet. Elder Wu continued. The Void God Realm kings that arrived first were all worried about their disciple's situation in the divine illusion dimension. Of the entire 10,000 sacred clan, only Zhao Feng returned from the divine illusion dimension. Humph! Brat! If anything happens to my disciple in the divine illusion dimension, I'll hold you responsible. A thunderous voice sounded in Zhao Feng's soul. Zhao Feng raised his head slightly and looked at the peak-tier King Elder Een in the air. At this point in time, all the upper echelon members of the clan knew that Zhao Feng had left the group and obtained great fortune by himself. Some even suspected that Zhao Feng had taken everything for himself and caused the rest of the clan to die. However, the truth would have to wait for the group from the 10,000 sacred clan to return. After waiting for another 4 hours, the elite group from the 10,000 sacred clans still didn't appear. No way! Could the group from the 10,000 sacred clan have all died in the divine illusion dimension? Zhao Feng had a weird expression. Under normal situations, as long as they didn't meet an existence like the Black Serpent Dragon head-on, the chances of them dying were very low. Of course, it wasn't like they hadn't been wiped out in the divine illusion dimension before. If the group from the 10,000 sacred clan had really died in the divine illusion dimension, then Zhao Feng would have to bear a lot of pressure and suspicion. Luckily, that didn't happen. At a certain moment, shwa, 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 familiar figures appeared on the black pedestal, causing the crowd to gasp in surprise. Chapter 872. They're back! Confrontations has appeared! Figures flashed across the black stage, and they only stopped after several breaths. Zhao Feng scanned over them. About half of the 10,000 sacred clans group had returned, and there were around 40 to 50 people in total. The leader, Confrontations, wore a beautiful dress and had a powerful aura. Zhao Feng found that Confrontations was much stronger than when they first entered the divine illusion dimension, both in terms of true yuan and bloodline aura. However, Confrontations was still half a step away from the Void God realm. Apart from that, Old Fei, Lu Tianfan, Huang Yunhu, and even Senior Marshal Brother Guang, whom Zhao Feng was familiar with, were also present. It's good that you're back. King Liyun sighed as his gaze landed on his disciples. His personal disciple and his in-name disciple, Senior Marshal Brother Guang, were still present. No one has become a king. Although a few Origin Core Realm disciples have broken through, they're far from being able to compare to Zhao Feng. The kings and elders present discussed in a low tone. It wasn't hard to see that the 10,000 sacred clans group wasn't doing very well. Most of the geniuses and elites were tired and ruffled, and a small number of them were severely injured. For example, Old Fei had a broken leg and was using a walking stick. Zhao Feng understood that fortune wasn't something that everyone could find. Even if they did, they might not have the ability to grasp it. Xianyang Palace's fortune was great, but how many kings and quasi-kings had died there? For those that were weak, not meeting Xianyang Palace might be a blessing. Zhao Feng, The returning kings all looked toward the purple-haired youth sitting cross-legged on the ground. Compared to them, Zhao Feng's progress was too big. Their gazes were filled with hatred, jealousy, respect, and other emotions. Zhao Feng! Old Fei gritted his teeth and had a complicated expression. If you hadn't left the group and helped us, we wouldn't have been in such a pitiful state in the divine illusion dimension. Zhao Feng fell into a brief moment of silence. In reality, Old Fei didn't question or hate Zhao Feng. He only blamed, complained, and vented. Why didn't Zhao Feng help us at the right time? In the underground city, the strength and methods that Zhao Feng displayed were already shocking. If he stayed in the group, he would be of great help to the 10,000 Sacred Clan. When the 10,000 Sacred Clan conquered 1 or 2 ancient ruins, they were just a sliver away from success. Because they failed, they suffered heavy losses. Zhao Feng! If you hadn't left the team, senior sister Yun, junior brother Qin, they might not have died. Zhao Feng! Because of your own selfish desires, you left the team and brought disaster upon us. The returning elites of the 10,000 Sacred Clan questioned in an unfriendly tone. Some of the enraged people almost charged forward and started a fight, but they were stopped by some nearby sect members. Stop! Silence! King Lu Yun and the others immediately stopped them. The severely injured Elder Wu was a perfect example of how terrifying Zhao Feng's strength was. This was already the case for King Tiers. If it were these geniuses and elites, a single sneeze from Zhao Feng would be enough to take their lives. Zhao Feng, I don't hate you. We can only blame ourselves for not being strong enough and having bad luck. However, as a member of the 10,000 Sacred Clan, you didn't do your job. Old Fei smiled bitterly as he leaned on his walking stick, looking desolate. Hearing this, the surviving geniuses and elites of the 10,000 Sacred Clan all became silent. They couldn't completely blame Zhao Feng. If they were strong enough, it wouldn't matter if there was one more or one less Zhao Feng. Heaven and earth will destroy us if we don't look out for ourselves. Junior brother Zhao, I don't blame you, but I'm slightly disappointed in you. Lu Tianfan laughed mockingly. His body was covered in injuries, and half of one of his ears had been bitten off by an unknown beast. After a long silence, Zhao Feng finally spoke. Just pretend that I'm still the average Zhao Feng. Hearing this, everyone paused. If the original Zhao Feng was still here, he probably wouldn't even have the right to enter the divine illusion dimension. The purple-haired youth in front of them was miles away from the original Zhao Feng in terms of aura and strength. Zhao Feng didn't have much of a sense of belonging to the 10,000 Sacred Clan. The reason he helped the Yunling Zhao family was to fulfill some of the wishes of the original Zhao Feng. Furthermore, my fortune came from chasing after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon and going through a lot of danger. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and started to reminisce. The dangerous scenes in the divine illusion dimension seemed to appear in front of his eyes. Chasing after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon? The returning geniuses and elites of the 10,000 Sacred Clan exclaimed. The expressions of Kong Feiling, Old Fei, Lu Tianfan, and company changed dramatically, and they couldn't help but take in a cold breath. This Zhao Feng was too bold. He dared to chase after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon? Sky Suspension Palace, 9 Darkness Palace, the Great Gone Imperials, Sky Sword Pavilion, the 8 Big Families. Countless kings and quasi-kings died in Xiyang Palace. Zhao Feng sighed. There were too many kings and quasi-kings that died in Xiyang Palace. 3-star forces, peak 3-star forces, and even 4-star superpowers came out of Zhao Feng's mouth. At this moment, everyone was silent. They could imagine how intense that battle was. Furthermore, these rumors would spread across the entire world of cultivation and the upper echelon of the Great Gone Lord dynasty. The weakest of the geniuses that entered Xiyang Palace are at Kong Feiling's level. Old Fei, do you want me to bring the 10,000 Sacred Clans group into the abyss? Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. The hearts of Old Fei and company shook, and they were speechless. They wouldn't dare to chase after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon even if they had 100 guts. Those 3-star and 4-star forces that they were all familiar with weren't something they could be compared to. Only Zhao Feng would be able to do as he pleased after leaving the group. Furthermore, Zhao Feng was already dead, and Zhao Feng was just using this chance to step onto the continent zone's stage. Humph! What you said can only be confirmed after a period of time when the people from the other sects send news. A cold harumph broke the silence. The person who spoke was the heavily injured Elder Wu. Next to Elder Wu, the Picture King Elder Yin's gaze scanned the crowd. His expression was extremely ugly, and he didn't say anything for a long time. Elder Yin, what's wrong? Did your last disciple not come out of the divine illusion dimension? King Lu Yun felt that something was wrong. The expression on Elder Yin's face was very strange. At this moment in time, no new figures appeared on the black stage. If everything was as expected, those that didn't appear had definitely died in the divine illusion dimension. Junior Marshal Brother Wang died to a mutated venomous spider king. Kong Failing, Lu Tianfan, and company had dim expressions. The Junior Marshal Brother Wang they were talking about was obviously Elder Yin's last disciple. After confirming that this was bad news, Elder Yin's body started to tremble, and his eyes started to turn red as he tried to suppress the anger and unwillingness in his heart. It was obvious that Elder Yin had invested a lot of feelings into this last disciple of his. Shao! The heavens are unfair! Elder Yin roared into the sky as killing intent flashed through his red eyes as he stared at Zhao Feng, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. Why was that youth that left the group and was cursed by everyone able to obtain so many things in the divine illusion dimension, while his last disciple ended up in such a pitiful state? Zhao Feng! This elder said that if anything happens to my last disciple in the divine illusion dimension, I will hold you responsible. A surge of magnificent power surged toward Zhao Feng. Elder Yin! Calm down! King Lu Yun and company immediately tried to stop him, but Elder Yin's cultivation had reached the Picture King realm, and his spatial domain had almost materialized. With a bam, he pushed away the other 2 kings that tried to stop him. Everyone, leave! Kong Failing, Old Fei, and company saw that the situation wasn't right and quickly retreated from the black stage. Zhao Feng didn't want to drag these innocent people down with him, so he continued to sit on the stage and stared coldly at Elder Yin, who was filled with killing intent. Brat! Do you know your crimes? Elder Yin waved his hand, and a dark red hand appeared above Zhao Feng's head. He didn't lose his cool in front of everyone. He needed a valid reason to attack Zhao Feng, and there was indeed something wrong with Zhao Feng. And Zhao Feng did have some clues. He had left the team and acted on his own, which was a violation of the sex rules. If you want to attack, then do it. There's no need to waste words. I still need to go back and cultivate. Zhao Feng slowly stood up under the pressure of the illusory hand. When in an instant, golden and blue lines appeared on Zhao Feng's body, and he seemed to become a diamond as his body expanded. Pun! An invisible, tyrannical force knocked Elder Yin's illusory hand away, causing the nearby mountain gate to tremble. You should be punished for your crimes! Elder Yin shouted in shock and anger. He slapped the air with one palm, and a dark crystal spatial domain that was almost solid appeared around his body. The dark red illusory hand burst out with dazzling light. Rumble! In an instant, the nearby mountain gate began to collapse and rumble due to the aftershocks of the aftershocks. The anger of a Picture King forced the other kings to retreat, and Elder Wu, who had been injured earlier, revealed a look of joy. Fuck off! Zhao Feng punched back and circulated his sacred lightning body. A wave of golden blue physical force spread and crackled with lightning. However, just the sacred lightning body alone wasn't enough to deal with a Picture King. Boom! A glass-like flame suddenly appeared around Zhao Feng's body, and a scorching aura shot toward Elder Yin's hand and spatial domain. Bam! Boom! From afar, it was as if a blazing blood-colored sun was giving off a blinding light that dyed heaven and earth red. Cracks instantly appeared in Elder Yin's spatial domain. What a terrifying fire Dao bloodline! The nearby kings tried to dissolve some of the remaining power, and their bloodlines felt like they were being burned. The bloodlines of the clan members further away started to tremble instinctively, and the weaker ones covered their heads and knelt on the ground. They felt as if they were being devoured by the fire, and they didn't even have the ability to run. Boom! Bam! In the air, Elder Yin's figure was pushed back several hundred yards as he suppressed his boiling blood. As he was pushed back, a layer of blood-colored flames appeared on his body, and he couldn't put it out easily. What? What's going on? Elder Yin was shocked. When he exchanged blows with Zhao Feng just now, he could feel his yuan qi and blood flowing away. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's figure faintly shook as he felt wisps of warmth return to his body. His mental energy became stronger, and the tiredness he felt from Xianyang Palace was completely gone. Chapter 873. Boom! Boom! Just as Zhao Feng pushed Elder Yin back, in the air above a mountain in the northern part of the Tiafeng Great Island Zone. This bloodline aura, could it be the perfect Blood Devil Sun bloodline that only appeared once in the past? An elder in dark red battle robes suddenly sensed it, and his body shook. He couldn't control the excitement and shock on his face. A divine light that shook heaven and earth flashed in his eyes. In that instant, the intent of fire in heaven and earth spun around him, and the dominating aura of an emperor made countless beings within 1,000 miles suffocate, as if they were in a hell of fire. In terms of aura, this elder in dark red battle robes was close to Duan Muqing from the true martial sacred land. That direction is the 10,000 sacred clan! The elder in dark red battle robes' divine sense spun, and a detailed map appeared in the dimension of his soul. On the map, he was currently near the Zhao clan of the Yunling Mountains. Following Zhao Feng's rise, the Yunling Mountains were now ruled by the Zhao clan. Even the powerful Luo family didn't dare to interfere. At the gates of the 10,000 sacred clan. What a terrifying Fire Dao bloodline! Many experts near the black stage exclaimed, and their bloodlines started to tremble uneasily. At this moment, the gates nearby were dyed red. Zhao Feng's body became taller, and he was like a miniature giant that was burning with a blood-colored sun. He gave off a power that seemed to be able to destroy everything. Through the perfect combination of the sacred lightning body and the mutated Blood Devil Sun bloodline, Zhao Feng pushed back Elder Yin, who was a peak-tier king. The spectating kings were dazed, and their jaws dropped to the ground. Elder Yin was one of the rare peak-tier kings of the 10,000 sacred clan, and he was rarely matched against anyone below the emperor level. This bloodline is very weird. Elder Yin put out the flames on his body, and he could clearly feel the life force within his body fading away. After the battle in the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng's understanding and usage of the mutated Blood Devil Sun bloodline had reached a whole new level. The mutated Blood Devil Sun bloodline was extremely forceful, and it had the ability to corrode and ignite. As for the strange ability of blood-sucking, it was the last to be born. The other side. Zhao Feng's originally tired face recovered a little, and there was even a hint of redness on it. Although Zhao Feng hadn't experienced any major battles in Xianyang Palace, he had been tortured for several months, and he had almost died, so he wasn't in a good state. Only a few observant people noticed the completely different changes in Zhao Feng and Elder Yin. Among them was Elder Yin, who had personally experienced it. Old fool! Take another punch from me! Zhao Feng laughed loudly as he circulated his sacred body and Blood Devil Sun body. He was like a flaming golden mountain as he pressed down on Elder Yin with a terrifying pressure. Elder Yin's body sank as he recovered from the shock brought about by Zhao Feng's bloodline. Now that he was so close, he didn't dare to underestimate his opponent and counterattacked with all his might. Boom! Crack! The two figures clashed once again in the sky, causing another crack to appear in Elder Yin's space domain. Swoosh! This time, Elder Yin was prepared, and he used the explosive power of the Blood Devil Sun body to retreat and increase the distance between them. However, even so, Elder Yin's blood boiled, and a layer of Blood Devil Sun flames appeared on his body. Unavoidably, he was slightly injured. If that was all, Eldarine could use his Pictor King cultivation to fight for a long time and exhaust Zhao Feng to death. After all, Zhao Feng's cultivation wasn't high, and he could use his bloodline, battle techniques, and weapons to challenge those with higher cultivation. However, if this continued, he definitely wouldn't be a match for someone with the same battle power as him. However, the mutated Blood Devil's Son bloodline's blood-sucking technique had broken this restriction. The second clash, Zhao Feng absorbed some of Eldarion's Yuan Qi and blood, and his body's condition became better and better. Earth-grade weapon, floating dragon-toothed sword. Eldarion's face was fierce. A dark golden bone sword appeared in his hand, surrounded by a huge golden dragon shadow sword Qi. Dark golden flame dragons appeared around it, covering a radius of 100 miles. It's this peak-grade earth-grade floating dragon-toothed sword. The main material of this sword is the tooth of an ancient lesser dragon lord. The hearts of the experts below shuddered as they sensed the aura of a powerful being. When the floating dragon-toothed sword appeared, Eldarion's battle power increased by 50 to 60%, and the aura of a dragon forced Zhao Feng back. Ding! Pun! Zhao Feng closed in for the third time, but he was finally pushed back by Eldarion's sword. Sparks flew on the surface of his sacred lightning body. The damage he received was negligible with his powerful body and bloodline. A peak-grade earth-grade weapon. Zhao Feng squinted his eyes. This time, his close combat wasn't very ideal. The effect of his lifesteal was slightly weaker than the previous 2 times. On the other hand, Eldarion's peak-grade earth-grade weapon wasn't simple, and it was a king amongst those of the same cultivation. Brat, apart from inheritance sacred weapons and heaven-grade weapons, my floating dragon-toothed sword has never met a match. You can't get close to me, and the threat of your bloodline is greatly reduced. Eldarine had a smug expression. At the same time, he let out a breath in his heart. If he couldn't suppress Zhao Feng at all, how would he have the face to face others with his Pictor King cultivation? Inheritance sacred weapon? I actually do have one here. Mockery and mockery flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. Putting aside inheritance sacred weapons, he even had 1 or 2 legendary substandard god weapons. Inheritance sacred weapon, sky-locking bow. A dark silver bow appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. Mysterious carvings were carved on the surface of the bow, and they formed a 3-dimensional tadpole-like pattern. Jiang! The bowstring glittered with a cold golden light, and it caused the floating dragon-toothed sword in Eldarion's hand to tremble uneasily. Inheritance sacred weapon. And it's a long-range weapon at that. The smile on Eldarion's face froze. Experts had different levels, and weapons also had different levels. In terms of weapons, the floating dragon-toothed sword was suppressed by Zhao Feng's sky-locking bow, and its power would be restricted. Sky-locking bow. Inheritance sacred weapon. This must be something Zhao Feng obtained in the divine illusion dimension. The spectators in the arena were in a state of shock. Since you don't want to fight in close combat, then we'll fight from a distance. A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. After saying this, he pulled the golden bowstring of the sky-locking bow with one hand, and the wind-lightning true yuan in his body furiously poured into it. When a bright golden arrow instantly formed on the bowstring of the sky-locking bow, and it was surrounded by wisps of condensed wind lightning. Not good. In the distance, Eldarine felt a chill in his heart for some reason. He felt a piercing pain from a sharp metal energy that could pierce through the heavens. Eldarine gripped the floating dragon-toothed sword as his body froze, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He had a feeling that no matter how he dodged, he wouldn't be able to dodge the attack of the sky-locking bow. The Skylock bow. It's actually this legendary inherited sacred artifact. This Zhao Feng is not only strong in close combat, but he also specializes in long-range weapons. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to obtain the recognition of the sky-locking bow. Some of the kings present were also stunned. It was hard to imagine that such a terrifying existence was only a junior at the Origin Core realm. My true yuan cultivation isn't as strong as Eldarion's, so it's hard for the sky-locking bow to kill him. However, if I condense a soul arrow, I might be able to instantly kill him. Zhao Feng's left eye bloodline and the sky-locking bow locked onto Eldarine. Eldarine didn't dare to act rashly. The pressure and threat made him feel like he had fallen into an ice house. Zhao Feng was only analyzing and simulating, but he didn't attack. He also had an idea. If he combined the sky-locking bow with the substandard god-slaying arrow, he didn't know what kind of power it would have. I'll only be able to use the god-slaying arrow after becoming a king. Zhao Feng analyzed in his heart. Arrow-type weapons were consumables, and their requirements for cultivation were much lower than other weapons of the same rank. The sky-locking bow could be seen as a crowbar, while the god-slaying arrow was the item that had to be lifted. For Zhao Feng, the god-slaying arrow was too heavy. The weight of the god-slaying arrow that had to be pried up was too great, exceeding his limits. Unless he could increase his own strength, he would not be able to unleash its might. In the air above the 10,000 sacred clan, the auras of the earth-grade weapon and the inheritance sacred weapon continued to rise. The spectators all maintained their distance, and their hearts tightened. "Stop!" An incomparably dignified voice rang out from nowhere, causing a faint rumble to resound from the boundary of this world. Suddenly, a strong emperor's magnificent power descended. Everyone present, including the Void God Realm kings, felt their hearts shake, and they found it hard to breathe. In the next instant, Shua! At some point in time, a beautiful woman wearing an amethyst crown had appeared in the cloud layer. The peerlessly beautiful woman's entire body was surrounded by crystalline light. Colorful silk ribbons fluttered around her body, giving her a perfect and noble air. "Emperor Ling Qiong!" Sounds of respect mixed with amazement came from the crowd. Some of the lower-level sect disciples even knelt down to pay their respects under the great pressure. "Greetings, Third Elder." Eldarine let out a long breath. The other kings such as King Lu Yun, Elder Wu, and company also bowed. "Third Elder, Emperor Ling Qiong." Zhao Feng couldn't help but look over. This peerless beauty was the only female emperor of the 10,000 sacred clan, Emperor Ling Qiong. This made Zhao Feng remember the Cold Moon Emperor from the Pirate King's sacred land. Compared to the Cold Moon Emperor's valiant and murderous aura, this Emperor Ling Qiong had a more dignified and graceful beauty. "Emperor Ling Qiong, you have to help us." Elder Yin and the injured Elder Wu immediately spoke up and accused Zhao Feng of his evil actions. This brat disregarded the life and death of his fellow disciples, offended an elder, and severely injured one of the elders. Emperor Ling Qiong's expression was as calm as the water of a lake as she listened to the two elders. No one could tell what she was thinking. Zhao Feng floated in the air and didn't show any signs of panic or change under the pressure of an emperor. As expected of a genius that Duke Nanfeng likes. Admiration and interest flashed through Emperor Ling Qiong's eyes as she inspected Zhao Feng. She didn't show any enmity, and her expression could even be considered friendly. This scene made Elder Yin and Elder Wu feel indignant. "Third Elder, you have to be fair! My body's bones are about to fall apart from the beating." Elder Wu's voice trembled. His heavily injured appearance was enough to make anyone who didn't know the truth pity him. "Humph!" Emperor Ling Qiong's expression went cold. "I saw everything from the beginning to the end." Hearing this, Elder Yin and Elder Wu's hearts dropped, and their faces went white. According to some rumors, Emperor Ling Qiong has a secret relationship with Duke Nanfeng. Not far away, King Lu Yun and the others discussed among themselves. Chapter 874. Martial Monarch Ling Qiong's cold harumph sent chills down Elder Wu and Elder Yin's spines. Indeed, their previous words were slightly slanderous and twisted. However, the two of them did not expect the entire process to be witnessed by great Emperor Ling Qiong. On top of that, Emperor Ling Qiong was friends with the ruler of the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, Duke Nanfeng. She didn't hide her admiration for Zhao Feng. "Since the third elder has seen the entire process, please give us a fair judgment," King Lu Yun and company suggested. There were only 2 or 3 emperors in the entire 10,000 sacred clan, and Emperor Ling Qiong's status was the highest. Furthermore, Emperor Ling Qiong was famous for being impartial. Many people respected her, but there were also people who hated her. Okay. Emperor Ling Qiong nodded her head, and her beautiful eyes landed on Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng! A cold voice that contained the pressure of an emperor covered Zhao Feng's body. Boom! Zhao Feng's figure shook in the air, and he revealed a surprised expression. He originally thought that Emperor Ling Qiong would protect him due to her relationship with Duke Nanfeng. However, judging from the current situation, Great Emperor Ling Qiong was going to put him in his place as soon as she appeared. However, this display wasn't successful. Even the pressure of an emperor wasn't enough to make Zhao Feng yield. Finally, Great Emperor Ling Qiong's expression changed. She found that she had underestimated Zhao Feng. He was indeed worthy of being someone that Duke Nanfeng wanted to recruit. Back then, Zhao Feng could even reject the precious title of a duke. May I ask, Third Elder, what crime I have committed and how I should be punished? Zhao Feng said calmly. In the current situation, he didn't want to fight with an emperor, nor did he want to fight with the 10,000 sacred clan. After all, after Zhao Feng reincarnated, he used the 10,000 sacred clan as a springboard to take a huge leap forward. Zhao Feng, you left the team in the divine illusion dimension. Is that true? Great Emperor Ling Qiong asked. The magnificent power of an emperor on her body became stronger and stronger, pressuring Zhao Feng. If it was any other king, they would have already collapsed, but Zhao Feng's expression didn't change at all. Yes. Zhao Feng was very straightforward. You were disrespectful to the elders and severely injured Elder Wu. Is that true? Great Emperor Ling Qiong's voice turned cold. Yes. There was no hesitation in that voice. At this moment, the place was dead silent. Elder Wu and Elder Yin had gloating expressions on their faces. Everyone thought that Great Emperor Ling Qiong would side with Zhao Feng, but in reality, it was the opposite. Some of the clan members couldn't help but look at Zhao Feng with pity. Everyone knew that Zhao Feng had injured Elder Wu in self-defense. Very good, Zhao Feng. I admire your honesty. Although you were forced to do so, I can't easily convict you before the truth of the divine illusion dimension is confirmed. Great Emperor Ling Qiong's tone suddenly changed. Hearing this, Elder Wu, Elder Yin, and company all started to agree. From the looks of it, Great Emperor Ling Qiong wanted to convict Zhao Feng, but the truth could only be confirmed by the other elites that entered the divine illusion dimension. After all, no one present could testify to what Zhao Feng said. Maybe Zhao Feng really did betray the 10,000 sacred clan and betray them. I can't convict you now? Does that mean I can go back and cultivate? Zhao Feng said slowly. Zhao Feng didn't put Great Emperor Ling Qiong's punishment to heart. He wouldn't stay in the 10,000 sacred clan for too long. He would leave the 10,000 sacred clan after recovering his cultivation. Sure. Great Emperor Ling Qiong paused. She felt that this youth in front of her was ignoring her. However, Zhao Feng didn't show any obvious disrespect. The Void God Realm King's present couldn't help but feel weird. Looking at Zhao Feng, he didn't seem worried about his future at all. Great Emperor Ling Qiong was slightly displeased by his calm and fearless demeanor. Before the truth comes to light, I will ground you for 2 months. You can't leave the 10,000 sacred clan or else you will be considered a traitor and will be killed. Coldness appeared on Great Emperor Ling Qiong's face. The nearby kings all felt a terrifying pressure, and their hearts jumped out of their chests. Those that were familiar with Great Emperor Ling Qiong knew that Zhao Feng had made her unhappy. With her temper, it was very likely that she would teach Zhao Feng a lesson. 2 months? Zhao Feng's footsteps paused, and he left the black stage as if no one was present. In reality, Zhao Feng was planning to cultivate for 2 to 3 months and raise his cultivation to the Void God Realm. That way, his strength would be close to the peak of the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor. Whoosh! An ancient flying chariot appeared under Zhao Feng's feet and merged into the depths of the 10,000 sacred clan. So fast. It's extremely close to the speed of an emperor. Some of the kings present couldn't help but be surprised. When did Junior Marshal Brother Zhao change mounts again? The eyes of some of the disciples were filled with envy and jealousy as they watched Zhao Feng fly away. Substandard God Crystal. Great Emperor Ling Qiong couldn't help but exclaim as she felt the faint undulations of God crystals coming from the flying flaming chariot. Substandard God crystals were basically the best legendary God crystals in the continent zone. Even emperors were extremely tempted by substandard God crystals. Even mystic light realm sacred lords needed substandard God crystals to cultivate. However, Zhao Feng had embedded a substandard God crystal into a flying chariot. The advantage of this was that the flying flaming chariot had an endless supply of energy, so Zhao Feng didn't need to put any true yuan into it. Great Emperor Ling Qiong and the other Void God Realm experts locked onto Zhao Feng as he entered the depths of the 10,000 sacred clan with their divine senses. Zhao Feng didn't show any signs of leaving the clan, so Great Emperor Ling Qiong and company didn't stop him. In just a few dozen breaths, Zhao Feng's flaming chariot returned to the courtyard of a core disciple. Immediately, Zhao Feng put up the seclusion token, opened the array, and started to cultivate. Before cultivating, Zhao Feng's consciousness entered the substandard God Misty Spatial World's little world. These mountains, rivers, and lands were nurtured by plants and other living beings. Zhao Feng planted some treasures such as the green water sky lotus and the spiritual flesh snow jade lotus in the little world. Apart from that, the 5 poison distinct bees that he had obtained were also given a separate area to be raised, and they needed to be constantly supplied with pollen. Zhao Feng gave these tasks to the little thieving cat for now. Meow meow! The little thieving cat jumped around as it accepted its master's tasks, but it also asked for some resources. The resources it asked for were enough to make several Void God Realm kings go bankrupt. Zhao Feng agreed without the slightest hesitation. The most important thing right now was to recover his strength, and the misty spatial world did indeed need to be taken care of. Within the courtyard, within the room, Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged as wisps of faint green wood of wind lightning appeared around him. Shwa! Shwa! King Wind Lightning Crystal Core, Boundless Wood, 100 Origin Honey Juice, Green Water Sky Lotus, and other top resources appeared in front of Zhao Feng. Apart from the Wind Lightning Crystal Core, most of the other resources could provide him with the essence of plants and other powerful effects that were beneficial to his cultivation, body, bloodline, and even soul. The power of wind lightning gathered in the air above Zhao Feng's courtyard and formed a vast ball of wind lightning. After recovering his emperor intent, Zhao Feng's cultivation didn't have any bottlenecks. What he needed to do was to accumulate and complete the sequence of the new cultivation technique, 5 elemental wind lightning technique. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. More and more wood of wind lightning appeared within Zhao Feng's body, and its quality had reached the Void God realm. On top of that, the crystal core within Zhao Feng's body was different from normal techniques. His crystal core was split into 2 parts. One part was dark blue, and the other part was green. From the looks of it, it looked like a sapphire and an emerald put together. The dark blue part represented the water of wind lightning, and it took up 2/3 of its volume. The green part represented the wood of wind lightning, and it took up 1/3 of its volume. It was unbelievable. The dark blue water of wind lightning could be turned into the wood of wind lightning. Water to wood. Wood to fire. Fire to earth. Earth to metal. Metal to water. The path of Zhao Feng's 5 elemental wind lightning technique could be seen with one glance. Of course, the water of wind lightning could be turned into the wood of wind lightning, but the wood of wind lightning couldn't be turned into the water of wind lightning. Unless the 5 elements of wind and lightning were all connected and formed a complete cycle, he would not be able to do so. At that time, Zhao Feng's true yuan reserves would far surpass those of the same cultivation, and he would be able to do whatever he wanted. 20 days after Zhao Feng entered seclusion. Peak Great Origin Core Realm! Zhao Feng's aura rose dramatically, and the crystal core within his body expanded to the limit. When the power of wind lightning formed a whirlpool in the air above the courtyard. The hearts of the nearby central disciples shook. Apart from some core disciples, most of the disciples of the 10,000 Sacred Clan hadn't even broken through to the Origin Core realm, let alone the peak Great Origin Core realm. Furthermore, the quality of Zhao Feng's true yuan was comparable to a Void God Realm King, and he only needed to wait for his crystal core to open up a dimension of true yuan. I'm just one step away from reaching the peak of my previous life, and then I'll surpass it. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled, and he couldn't help but feel excited. In this life, the technique he cultivated was even stronger, and his future was even greater. After the divine illusion dimension, he had more resources than he had in his previous life. Just as Zhao Feng was trying to break through to the Void God realm, on this day, a powerful Fire Dao Emperor aura appeared in the sky above the 10,000 Sacred Clan. The sky above the 10,000 Sacred Clan was covered in a scarlet-red light that radiated a powerful aura of the Tao of Fire. The hearts of the upper echelon of the 10,000 Sacred Clan shook. Some kings and emperors were shocked, and they used their divine senses to check with solemn expressions. Right now, the 10,000 Sacred Clan had 3 emperors. 2 of them were in seclusion, and one of them was Emperor Ling Qiong. Why is the emperor of the Tai family, Tai Litian, here? Emperor Ling Qiong's expression changed dramatically. The legendary emperor in front of them was famous, and he came from one of the 8 big families, the Tai family. An elder in dark red battle robes could be faintly seen within the scarlet-red light. The aura of this Fire Dao Emperor was obviously stronger than Emperor Ling Qiong's, and the latter's breathing quickened. I came all the way from the West Mountain Palace and found out that the Blood Devil Sun bloodline of my family appeared in the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, so I investigated several times and came here. Now, the truth has been revealed. The elder in battle robes, Tai Litian, laughed loudly and shook the entire 10,000 Sacred Clan. Chapter 875. Blood Devil Sun Bloodline? The experts of the 10,000 Sacred Clan looked at each other and started to discuss. The kings led by King Lu Yun soon thought of a person. The Blood Devil Sun bloodline was ranked 81st on the Imperial Dao bloodline rankings, and it was one of the top legendary bloodlines in the continent zone. However, there was indeed a youth that seemed to have the Blood Devil Sun bloodline in the 10,000 Sacred Clan. As for the young man, he had just been given a house arrest order. May I ask what the truth that Elder Tai is talking about is? A solemn expression appeared on Emperor Ling Qiong's face. Great Emperor Ling Qiong was fearful of Tai Litian and the Tai family behind him. All of the 8 big families in the Great Gon Lord dynasty were comparable to 3-star sects and had great influence in the Lord dynasty. Amongst them, the Tai family was one of the top families, and it was comparable to a peak 3-star force. In the faraway West Mountain Palace, the Tai family guarded the northwestern border of the Lord dynasty, and they were the main pillar against the invasion of the Dark Moon Lord dynasty. The elites of the Tai family were trained in the flames of war, and their strength surpassed those of the same generation. In comparison, the declining 10,000 Sacred Clan couldn't even compare to a normal 3-star force, let alone the Tai family. Therefore, at this point in time, the atmosphere in front of the 10,000 Sacred Clan was tense. The Tai family wasn't a force that the 10,000 Sacred Clan could offend, and Tai Litian's battle power was enough to crush normal emperors. I want to find Zhao Feng. Bring him back to the Tai family and raise him. Tai Litian's eyes were filled with heat and expectation. Thinking about the perfect Blood Devil Sun bloodline he sensed half a month ago, he couldn't contain the excitement in his heart. Zhao Feng? I'm afraid that won't work. Emperor Ling Qiong's expression changed once more, and she answered without thinking. Not long ago, some news about the divine illusion dimension had spread. The most important piece of news was the ancient god palace's Xiayang Palace, and the black serpent dragon that possessed the bloodline of the destruction dragon race. The shocking benefits of Xiayang Palace, the power of the evil god, the ancient god weapon, and the substandard god weapon caused huge waves in the upper echelons of the Lord dynasties. Great Emperor Lingqiong learned that a duo called the purple-haired demonic duo had a place in the fight for resources in Xieyang Palace, and they were even stronger than the other superfamilies and super-sections. Coincidentally, one of the purple-haired demonic duo had a person with the same name as Zhao Feng. Great Empress Lingqiong guessed that Zhao Feng might be one of the purple-haired demonic duo and possessed unfathomable strength. No? Ha! Does the 10,000 Sacred Clan want to stop our Tai family? Tai Litian raised his head and laughed out loud. Bzzz. In an instant, Tai Litian's body emitted a dazzling and glaring scarlet light that overshadowed the radiance of the blazing sun. With an earth-shattering might, the space around the mountain gate turned into a sea of fire hell. Hundreds and thousands of sect disciples were being burned by the blazing sun. The members of the sects couldn't bear the heat. No matter how hard they struggled, they couldn't break out of the inferno. Stop! Great Emperor Lingqiong spread her arms, and the image of a crystalline little world stacked on top of the mountain gate to block the scarlet light from Tai Litian. However, this also meant that she had to face Tai Litian's attack. Boom! Great Emperor Lingqiong harumphed as her body trembled, and her little world started to tremble. You're not my match. Tell Zhao Feng to come out and talk to me. Tai Litian placed his hands behind his back, and the scarlet light around him suddenly retracted. He seemed to become a blinding ball of sun. However, right at this moment, the aura of a third emperor appeared in the depths of the 10,000 Sacred Clan. The 10,000 Sacred Clan has fallen to such a state. A measly emperor dares to come and steal from us. An old and tired voice sounded from the depths of the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Although this emperor's aura wasn't as strong as Tai Litian's, it was more mysterious. An elder with white hair and orange light appeared in the air above the mountain gate, and he radiated an emperor's magnificent power. This was the projection of an emperor. Old Monster Su, you're still alive after failing to break through to the mystic light realm? Tai Litian revealed a weird expression, and wariness finally appeared in his eyes. In the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, only Duke Na Feng was able to make him wary. However, this old Monster Su wasn't simple either. He was once a peak emperor, but he had failed to break through to the mystic light realm and was reaching the end of his lifespan. Furthermore, the 10,000 Sacred Clan had 3 emperors, and Great Emperor Lingqiong was the weakest. Several breaths later, the divine senses of several emperors interacted in the air above the 10,000 Sacred Clan. The other Void God Realm kings could only feel the disturbance of their divine senses, but they couldn't hear anything. A long time later, the elder with white hair and orange light spoke. Sure, as you wish. Shwa! As soon as he finished speaking, old Monster Su's emperor projection disappeared. Who knew what kind of agreement these Void God Realm emperors had come to? Tell Zhao Feng to come out and make a choice. Great Emperor Lingqiong said with a cold expression. Due to being wary of the Tai family, the 10,000 Sacred Clan had to make a compromise. However, the 10,000 Sacred Clan couldn't just hand over Zhao Feng, they had to let him make a choice. Tai Litian was very confident and agreed to the deal. A while later, reporting to Emperor, the area where Zhao Feng is cultivating is very powerful, and it's hard to get close. A half-step king arrived and said in a slightly panicked tone. Great Emperor Lingqiong and Tai Litian's divine senses scanned toward a certain area. There was an enormous whirlpool of wind lightning there, and it contained a large amount of wood energy. Ha! As expected of a disciple of the Tai family. He already has the intent to break through to the Void God Realm at such a young age. Tai Litian roared with laughter. Hearing that, the upper echelon of the 10,000 Sacred Clan, Great Emperor Lingqiong, and the kings all had ugly expressions. Indeed, the 10,000 Sacred Clan didn't take advantage of such a genius. Shwa! Tai Litian and Great Emperor Lingqiong landed in the air above Zhao Feng's courtyard. Within the room, Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. He withdrew his true yuan and walked into the courtyard, then raised his head to look at the 2 emperors in the air. You're that Zhao Feng? Very good, very good. Tai Litian had a praising expression, and his eyes flashed with excitement. Zhao Feng's hair stood on end. Tai Litian's strength had almost reached the level of a peak emperor, and he was much stronger than Emperor Mu Yun back in the day. Just when Zhao Feng was confused, a voice rang out. Shua! Tai Litian waved his hand, and an old figure appeared from his little world. Grandpa Zhao? Zhao Feng was slightly surprised and couldn't help but exclaim. Grandpa Zhao was the grandfather of the original Zhao Feng. The original Zhao Feng's parents had died when he was young, and his grandfather had raised him. The relationship between them was even better than that of father and son. Feng, do you remember the name of your birth mother that your grandfather once told you? Grandpa Zhao let out a long sigh with a complicated expression. Firstly, he knew the secret of Zhao Feng's current body. Secondly, Zhao Feng's identity wasn't as simple as it seemed. Name? Zhao Feng started to reminisce. He had cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, so he could recall even the deepest memories. Soon, Zhao Feng received the answer. His mother's name was Tai Xiuli. Her surname is Tai? Emperor Ling Qiong and company from the 10,000 sacred clan were stunned in disbelief. I didn't think that your mother would be the daughter of the Tai family, one of the 8 big families. Grandpa Zhao sighed. It was obvious that he had just heard this news. Junior! You're a disciple of the Tai family and have the Blood Devil Sun bloodline. You should be proud and honored. Tai Litian laughed brightly. Victory was already in his hands. Zhao Feng stood there and paused for a while. He was tempted by his own bloodline, and he was prepared to go to the family to investigate it when he had the time. He didn't expect that. After this bloodline that was suspected to be the Blood Devil Sun bloodline spread out, the experts of the Iron family coincidentally noticed it. Knowing this, the upper echelon of the 10,000 sacred clan couldn't help but sigh. Without even thinking, Zhao Feng would definitely choose to go to the Tai family instead of staying in a peak 2-star force. Furthermore, Emperor Ling Qiong had ordered Zhao Feng to be grounded not long ago. No wonder Tai Litian was so confident and made such an agreement with the 10,000 sacred clan, giving Zhao Feng the choice. Feng, why aren't you leaving with this emperor? Grandpa Zhao reminded. He even signaled to Zhao Feng with his eyes. His meaning was obvious. Joining a super force like the Tai family would be of great help to him and the Zhao clan. Tai Litian smiled faintly and was filled with confidence as he waited for Zhao Feng's reply. On the other hand, Emperor Ling Qiong and company from the 10,000 sacred clan had ugly expressions, but they were already mentally prepared. Sorry, but I'm not interested in these things at all. Right now, my focus is on cultivation. Zhao Feng's eyes scanned over the 2 emperors in the sky, then he turned around and left behind a dazzling figure. The upper echelon of the 10,000 sacred clan watching this scene all had gaping mouths. You! Tai Litian's expression became even more colorful. He seemed to choke as he floated in the air with a red face. He didn't choose to go with you. According to our agreement. Emperor Ling Qiong was surprised, but she had a faint smile. She didn't think that Zhao Feng wasn't interested in returning to the Tai family at all. Humph! But he didn't choose to stay in the 10,000 sacred clan either. Tai Litian snickered coldly and left with Grandpa Zhao. According to the agreement, he didn't lose either. Zhao Feng didn't have a choice between the 10,000 sacred clan and the Tai family, or rather, he wasn't interested in choosing. Within the room, Zhao Feng continued to cultivate. After Tai Litian left, the 10,000 sacred clan regained its peace. Emperor Ling Qiong immediately ordered the area around Zhao Feng's courtyard to be cleared, and no one was allowed to disturb him. This Zhao Feng doesn't even care about a powerful emperor like Tai Litian. Could he really be one of the purple-haired demonic duo and one of the biggest beneficiaries of Xianyang Palace? Emperor Ling Qiong had a feeling that the 10,000 sacred clan couldn't contain this dragon anymore. Time passed by. More and more news regarding the divine illusion dimension spread from the continent to the Tianfeng Great Island Zone. The news shocked Emperor Ling Qiong and the upper echelon of the 10,000 sacred clan. At this point in time, the divine illusion dimension had ended almost 2 months ago. Within the room, Zhao Feng's cultivation had reached the final stage. Two powerful surges of wind lightning true yuan surged within the crystal core within his body and formed a dimension that could contain the entire true yuan. This was because Zhao Feng had emperor intent, and he was comparable to a half-step king after breaking through to the peak great origin core realm. The past 2 months of cultivation had almost allowed him to reach the level of a king, and he was only missing the solidification of his true yuan dimension. Chapter 876. 10,000 Sacred Clan. The area where Zhao Feng was cultivating had been cleared out by the sect's upper echelons. There wasn't a second sect member within a 100-mile radius. Buzzing in the sky above the courtyard was an enormous whirlpool of wind and lightning that was deep like the ocean. As it breathed in and out, the vast and boundless energy of wind and lightning in the heavens and the earth gushed in, and then it eliminated strands of the impurities in the vast origin energy. This powerful aura made normal void god realm kings feel pressured and unable to get close. From time to time, waves of divine will would sweep towards the area where Zhao Feng was cultivating. It's hard to imagine that such a young man possesses the ability to make a breakthrough to the king realm, and he's not far from success either. The wind lightning cultivation technique that he cultivates seems to possess a realm that surpasses common sense. The upper echelon of the 10,000 Sacred Clan and some kings and elders started to talk. It had been almost 2 months since the divine illusion dimension ended. While Zhao Feng was meditating, important news came from the central region of the continent. Within a crystal palace at the peak of a mountain in the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Third Elder! According to the news from the central continent and the Earth's Spirit Hall, the purple-haired demonic duo was the biggest beneficiary of Xianyang Palace. My sex Zhao Feng is definitely one of the purple-haired demonic duo, and he might even be their leader. A half-step king half-kneeled on the ground, full of reverence. The leader of the demonic duo? Are you sure the information is accurate? Great Emperor Ling Qiong was speechless. Even though she had been mentally prepared, she did not expect that Zhao Feng was not only one of the demonic duo, but also their leader. What was even more unbelievable was that this duo had become the biggest beneficiaries of Xianyang Palace. From the fragmented information, either one of the demonic duo had the strength of a normal void god realm emperor. Gu Chaoji from Earth's Spirit Hall has interacted with the purple-haired demonic duo before, so he's very familiar with them, the half-step king realm said confidently. The Earth's Spirit Hall was a 3-star super sect at the edge of the continent zone. It was not far from the Tianfeng Great Island zone. On the same day, the upper echelon elders of the 10,000 Sacred Clan held an emergency meeting. However, after confirming Zhao Feng's identity, the upper echelon of the 10,000 Sacred Clan didn't dare to act rashly. Firstly, Zhao Feng's immeasurable strength and the trump cards he had obtained from Xianyang Palace. Secondly, Zhao Feng's background wasn't simple. He had an emperor's teacher and Duke Nanfeng as his backing. Thirdly, the relationship with the Tai family. The Tai clan was a peak existence among the 8 great clans of the dynasty. They were the mainstay of the northwestern region's resistance against the Dark Moon dynasty. The emperor of the Tai family, Tai Litian, was near the 10,000 Sacred Clan and hadn't left yet. Between the clouds, Tai Litian, who was wearing a dark red battle robe, stood in the sea of clouds and looked down at the 10,000 Sacred Clan below. I didn't expect this youth with the Tai family's bloodline to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of the ancient god mansion, Xianyang Palace. I've still underestimated him. Tai Li Tian muttered and his face turned solemn. The issue of Zhao Feng's return to the Tai family had become complicated. Even some 3-star and 4-star super forces couldn't resist the temptation of Xianyang Palace. Furthermore, the purple-haired demonic duo had a lot of enemies in the divine illusion dimension. In the mainland of the continent zone, there was an endless mountain range that was shrouded in dark mist all year round. Demonic chi filled this mountain range, and even ghosts and gods would retreat. This was the most famous sacred ground of the demonic Dao in the Lord Dynasty, the 9 Darkness Mountain Range. When talking about the 9 Darkness Mountain Range, one had to talk about the ruling force here, Nine Darkness Palace. Nine Darkness Palace was one of the strongest demonic Tao forces in the Great Gonlord dynasty, and it was a 4-star power at its peak. Even in this era, Nine Darkness Palace was a peak 3-star superpower and one of the top 3-star powers. It had the power to command all the demonic Tao forces in the Lord dynasty. However, on this day, enraged, roaring, and murderous voices came from a core secret hall of the Nine Nether Palace. The elite group of Nine Darkness Palace was slaughtered by Nan Gongxing, one of the demonic duo, in Xiayang Palace. Jiu Wuji had the strength of a Peter King, but he couldn't even fight back against that brat. Looks like the power of the evil god's inheritance is real. The owners of these voices were at least Peter Kings, and many of them were emperors. Some of them had auras even higher. Some of the demonic Tao emperors in the hall had just come out of seclusion, and they were enraged when they heard the news. If normal kings were to be in this hall, their hearts would jump and they would start panting. Reporting to Grand Elder. A king half knelt on the ground and said in a trembling voice, "We haven't found out where Nan Gongxing of the purple-haired demonic duo came from. However, we seem to have found traces of him in the center of the Lord dynasty." Nan Gongxing. The upper echelon of Nine Darkness Palace all remembered this name. This name had wiped out the entire group of Nine Darkness Palace elites that had entered Xiayang Palace by himself. From their initial analysis, Nan Gongxing's battle power was comparable to an emperor. Apart from that, the other purple-haired demonic duo, Zhao Feng, is currently in the 10,000 sacred clan of the Tianfeng Great Island Zone. That's Duke Nanfeng's territory. That king half knelt on the ground. He looked at the Grand Supreme Elder in awe, who was sitting at the head of the table like a cluster of illusory demonic light. The Grand Elder's aura was limitless, and his body seemed to be weightless. He was like a ball of demonic light that had surpassed the limits of flesh and blood. If it wasn't for the fact that one's gaze landed on the Grand Elder, they would have forgotten about him. However, from the beginning to the end, the Supreme Elder did not say anything. There were two other extremely powerful existences on his left and right. One was the black-robed demonic lord, who was in a whirlpool of black light, and the other was a beautiful demonic beauty who was sitting in a purple-black lotus. Below the three supreme magnates were other great emperors, including some ancient top great emperors. We need at least several peak emperors to kill Nan Gongxing. In order to be safe, we need to send a mystic light realm sacred lord. The beautiful witch sitting cross-legged in the purple-black lotus flames didn't open her mouth, but her invisible voice pierced through the soul and the material plane. Mystic light realm sacred lord. The hearts of all the kings and emperors present shook. Under normal circumstances, sending out several peak great emperors would be shocking news. Peak emperors were usually at the level of Duan Muqing, the Wind Lightning Emperor, or even the Emperor of Death. According to their understanding of Nan Gongxing's strength, 2 or 3 peak emperors would be more than enough to kill him. However, the enraged upper echelon of Nine Darkness Palace placed great importance on this matter. As for the other person of the demonic duo, Zhao Feng, he's said to be extremely mysterious and not to be underestimated. The black-robed demon king, who was in the black whirlpool, nodded. At this moment, the two mystic light realm sacred lords looked at each other and made a decision. Sitting in the middle, the Grand Supreme Elder, who was like an illusory demonic light, finally spat out a word. "All right." As soon as he finished speaking, the unfathomable Grand Supreme Elder disappeared without a trace. If demigod Kunyun was here, he would be able to see through this person's strength, and even be moved. Great Gonlord Dynasty, Sky Suspension Palace. Within a group of palaces that floated above the clouds, this place was like a celestial realm that reigned above the thousands of clans and races of the mortal world. On top of a lone peak, 2 ordinary people with ordinary auras were sitting there, playing chess. One of the 2 mortals was a fat man with a fat face and big ears, and the other was a lifeless old man who looked like a withered tree. Whoosh! Right at this moment, the aura of a void god realm emperor descended on the lone peak. Reporting to the 2 ancestors, I can roughly sense the location of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Apart from that, there are also traces of Nangongxing, who possesses the inheritance of the evil god. This emperor's aura was even stronger than Tai Li Tian's and was close to the Emperor of Death's level. From the looks of the Mark of Destruction, the strength of that black loach hasn't recovered to the level of a demigod yet. We still have a chance of sealing it now, the withered old man said. The price to seal this black loach is too high. We need to pull those old undyings from the Grand Imperial Hall down with us. They definitely won't sit by and watch the Lord dynasty be destroyed. The fat man with a fat face and big ears spoke in a treacherous tone. The two mortals looked at each other and quickly came to an agreement, nodding their heads. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng was still cultivating in the 10,000 sacred clan far away. He didn't know that he was at the center of the whirlpool of the Lord dynasty. He only had one goal left in his heart, and that was to recover his peak strength from his previous life, or even surpass it. It's about time. Zhao Feng circulated the two surges of wind lightning within his body, the wood of wind lightning and the water of wind lightning. The crystal core within his dantian had stabilized, and its size hadn't changed. However, a drastic change had occurred within the crystal core. The true yuan within had turned into a lake and a dimension of its own. As the true yuan dimension stabilized, Zhao Feng would step into the realm of a true king. Whoosh! 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 On this day, the sound of flying came from the sky above the 10,000 sacred clan. Surges of shocking auras covered the sky above the 10,000 sacred clan. The owners of these auras were at least at the void god realm, and there were 4 or 5 emperors. That's Tai Li Tian, who was floating in the sky, revealed a surprised expression. He had already recognized the origin of this force. In the entire continent, there were only a few 3-star sections. It's a void god realm expert from the Earth's Spirit Hall! The entire 10,000 sacred clan was in chaos, and even Emperor Ling Qiong panicked. Earth's Spirit Hall is coming with such ferocious momentum. I'm afraid they don't have good intentions. Great Emperor Ling Qiong felt a chill in her heart. The Earth's Spirit Hall was the only 3-star sect nearby. It was even stronger than the mystic true sacred clan that Zhao Feng was from. 10,000 sacred clan? This is the sect that Zhao Feng belongs to? Gu Chaoji stood in the middle of the kings and emperors, and his divine sense scanned the 10,000 sacred clan below. Even though he was deeply afraid of Zhao Feng. However, the difference in strength between the two sects was like an abyss. Earth's Spirit Hall versus 10,000 sacred sect. 3-star versus 2-star. This was definitely a merciless suppression. 10,000 sacred clan, hand over Zhao Feng of the purple-haired demonic duo. Surges of magnificent power from the Earth's Spirit Hall descended, and their voices resounded through heaven and earth, causing the entrance of the 10,000 sacred clan to shake. The upper echelon of the 10,000 sacred clan wasn't surprised that the Earth's Spirit Hall wanted Zhao Feng. The gazes of Emperor Ling Qiong and company instinctively looked toward where Zhao Feng was cultivating, and they found that the whirlpool of wind lightning was slowly fading away. At this moment, Zhao Feng had already completed his breakthrough, and he had even calmly concealed his aura. This wasn't something that a newly ascended king could do. Chapter 877. In reality, Zhao Feng had already broken through to the Void God Realm 2 days ago. Void God Realm kings didn't pose any bottlenecks to his soul at all. Zhao Feng's focus was on solidifying his true Yuan dimension. Back in the Divine Illusion dimension, Zhao Feng had been chasing after the strength of his true Yuan in order to increase his explosive power in a short period of time. Before the Great Origin Core Realm, the quality of his true Yuan was already comparable to a Void God Realm king. Now that he had reached the Void God Realm, the quality of his true Yuan was even higher, and it was comparable to normal domain-level kings. One bow the water of wind lightning and the wood of wind lightning intertwined on the surface of Zhao Feng's body and gave off a smooth glow. Over the past 2 months of seclusion, Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning had broken through to the early stages of the 7th level, and it was even close to the late stages. Starting from the 7th level of the 5 elemental wind lightning technique, Each level represented a different element of wind lightning, and it was split into the early stages, late stages, and peak stages. The 7th level of the 5-elemental wind lightning technique was equivalent to the 5th level of the sacred lightning body. The increase in his cultivation meant that Zhao Feng's state of existence, body, and soul had both been strengthened to a certain degree. Zhao Feng's Golden Quin's sacred lightning body had reached the late stages of the 5th level after using a large amount of 100 origin fruit juice and other treasures. It could be said that Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body was formed by using large amounts of top-tier resources and treasures. In terms of the soul, Zhao Feng was on par with an emperor. In fact, his soul might even be a little weaker. Unknowingly, the emperor will had mostly recovered under the refinement. Originally, Zhao Feng's strength wouldn't increase by much after breaking through to the Void God realm. After all, the quality of his true yuan was comparable to a king, and it mainly increased his foundation and battle power. However, in the process of breaking through to the Void God realm, Zhao Feng used a large amount of resources, which created a chain reaction. As a result, his physique, soul, and other aspects had been greatly enhanced. My current strength should have recovered 60 to 70% of my previous life's strength. In some aspects, such as physique, I have an advantage over my previous life. Zhao Feng had a rough estimate in his heart. At this moment, surges of magnificent power from the Void God realm appeared in the air above the 10,000 sacred clan, and there were 4 or 5 emperor intents among them. 10,000 sacred clan. Hand over Zhao Feng of the purple-haired demonic duo. The purple-haired demonic duo have committed countless crimes in the divine illusion dimension. They have robbed everywhere and harmed the interests of many sections. They should be captured and killed as an example. Humph! How can a mere 2-star sect protect a treasure like a substandard divine artifact? The Void God realm experts of Earth's Spirit Hall floated in the air and looked down arrogantly at the 10,000 sacred clan. Some of these voices didn't even try to hide their intentions to snatch the substandard god artifact. One could foresee that the world of sects in the Great Gone dynasty where the strong preyed on the weak was even crueler than the bordering seas. Whoosh! 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 The Void God realm experts of the 10,000 sacred clan had to appear in this situation. After all, the 10,000 sacred clan was a 3-star sect that had once been glorious. They had 3 emperors and more than a dozen Void God realm kings. At this moment, 2 emperors had appeared. Apart from Emperor Ling Qiong, there was also a youth in black robes. Wang Boom! A white-haired old man glowing with orange light appeared in the air amidst a vast and mighty force. 2 emperors and 1 emperor projection. Hee hee. Old Monster Su, it looks like your lifespan is reaching its end after failing to break through to the mystic light realm. You can't use your full power so easily. An emperor in golden robes from Earth's Spirit Hall smiled faintly. This emperor in golden robes gave off a golden light that covered half the sky and suppressed the other emperors. He was a peak emperor. Zhang Xiandong, one of the 3 peak emperors of Earth's Spirit Hall. Emperor Ling Qiong and the youth in black robes next to her looked at each other with solemn expressions. The battle power of peak emperors far surpassed normal emperors, and they were extremely rare amongst Void God realm emperors. In the Lord dynasty, mystic light realm sacred lords were usually in seclusion and comprehended the path to godhood. They rarely interfered with the outside world. Therefore, under normal situations, peak emperors were almost unrivaled in the world. The 10,000 sacred clan originally had a peak emperor, Old Monster Su. Unfortunately, his lifespan was reaching its end, so his strength was greatly reduced. The 10,000 sacred clan seems to have met some trouble. Zhao Feng walked out from the room. At this moment, the entire 10,000 sacred clan was filled with surges of magnificent power. The hearts of the disciples shook, and they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Luckily, the confrontation between these kings was taking place in the sky. Zhao Feng! Gu Chaoji from Earth's Spirit Hall exclaimed as soon as Zhao Feng appeared. Gu Chaoji's eyes were filled with respect, wariness, and excitement. Back in the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng had interacted with Gu Chaoji before. At the last moment in Xieyang Palace, Gu Chaoji was forced by the Black Serpent Dragon to betray the humans and hand over the key to the Yuan sealing divine chains. These scenes flashed through Zhao Feng's mind. He's that Zhao Feng? One of the purple-haired demonic duo. The gazes of the kings and emperors from Earth's Spirit Hall landed on Zhao Feng. 2 months had passed since the end of the divine illusion dimension, and the legends of the purple-haired demonic duo had spread throughout the upper echelon of the Great Gone Lord dynasty. Of the purple-haired demonic duo, the purple-haired youth was unfathomable, and he was even the mastermind. Some people called the purple-haired youth Zhao Feng, while others called him Zhao Feng. However, that wasn't important anymore. The important thing was that he had become one of the biggest beneficiaries of Xieyang Palace. Looks like I can't stay in the 10,000 Sacred Clan anymore, Zhao Feng murmured in a low tone. He had used the 10,000 Sacred Clan as a stepping stone to soar, but as one of the biggest beneficiaries of Xieyang Palace, he had also brought disaster to the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Zhao Feng, the 10,000 Sacred Clan probably won't be able to protect you. However, as a member of the 10,000 Sacred Clan, we will do our best to protect you. The Orange Emperor projection of Old Monster Su sent a message to Zhao Feng. In the air, the expressions of the 3 emperors from the 10,000 Sacred Clan were dim. Earth's Spirit Hall was 1 star higher than the 10,000 Sacred Clan, and they had no chance of winning if they fought head-on. The fact that the 10,000 Sacred Clan was willing to help Zhao Feng escape was already the best they could do. Zhao Feng, if you can escape to the Duke's palace, you'll be able to keep your life, Emperor Ling Qiong warned. The Duke's Palace was the ruling organization of the Tianfeng Great Island Zone in name, and it represented the Imperials. Escape? A mocking smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. For some reason, he thought back to the pursuit of death in the Tseng Ocean. Thank you for your good intentions. These clowns don't have the right to make me escape. Zhao Feng shook his head and smiled as he bowed slightly from Emperor Ling Qiong and company. Hearing that, the experts from both sides broke out into discussion. Arrogant brat! Arrogant brat! A brat that just became a king doesn't know how high heaven is. The kings and emperors from Earth's Spirit Hall laughed instead of being angry. Boom whoosh, more than 10 king intent and 2 or 3 emperor intents instantly crushed toward Zhao Feng. That will pierce through the void. The soul level exploded and triggered the invisible power of Earth and Heaven Upanishad, which was enough to shatter the mountains and crack the ground. Boom! Boom! The area around Zhao Feng instantly crumbled and turned into dust under the barrage of intents. Not good! Tai Lit Yin in dark red battle robes couldn't help but exclaim at the peak of the cloud sea. With so many king intents and emperor intents joining in, the mental energy of a normal king would crumble, and their souls might even shatter. Emperor Ling Qiong and company from the 10,000 Sacred Clan were caught off guard. Zhao Feng's words enraged the crowd. The kings and martial emperors of the Earth's Spirit Hall were eager to kill him and take the substandard god weapon and other treasures. Humph! Zhao Feng stood still. His soul aura was like a bottomless ocean, and his body was like an ancient mountain that wouldn't change. The pressure from the intents targeted the soul, and it was accompanied by the power of heaven and earth. However, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean when it landed on Zhao Feng. Boom! Whoosh! 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 The intents of the kings and emperors all returned after a round of attacks. How is this possible? The Void God Realm Masters of Earth's Spirit Hall were speechless. Even normal emperors wouldn't be able to withstand the barrage of so many intents, and their soul would be damaged. Zhao Feng, on the other hand, was standing where he was, safe and sound, without the slightest movement. At this moment, everyone from the 10,000 Sacred Clan and Earth's Spirit Hall acted as if they had seen a ghost. To be able to do this, one's soul has reached the level of a peak emperor. Great Emperor Ling Qiong took a deep breath. In the Earth's Spirit Hall, the golden-robed Emperor Zhang Xiandong and the others couldn't help but put away their underestimation. Their expressions even became solemn. At first glance, Zhao Feng had just entered virtual god level. However, if one looked closely, they would find that his true yuan was extremely condensed and stronger than normal kings. His control had reached an unbelievable level. Gu Chaoji, take your fellow disciples away. I don't want to start a massacre. Zhao Feng strolled forward and stared at Gu Chaoji. Start a massacre? Gu Chaoji's hair stood on end from his stare. For some unknown reason, under the protection of so many seniors and emperors, he didn't feel safe at all when Zhao Feng stared at him. Time seemed to return to Xianyang Palace, back to when Zhao Feng used the gaze of the God Eye to extract the souls of the Blue Serpent King and the Azure Serpent King. The fear from that time seemed to still exist until now. Start a massacre? The kings and emperors from Earth's Spirit Hall had disdainful expressions, as if they had heard the biggest joke in the world. Right at this moment, Zhao Feng slowly took a step forward. Shua! All that was left was an afterimage of lightning. The Void God Realm King's eyes blurred, and they weren't able to see Zhao Feng's movement at all. In the next instant, Zhao Feng appeared in the sky between the 10,000 Sacred Clan and Earth's Spirit Hall. Si! The kings and emperors from both sides took in a cold breath. There was no other reason. The speed that Zhao Feng just displayed was too shocking. Apart from the peak Emperor Zhang Xiandong of Earth's Spirit Hall, all the other kings and emperors weren't as fast. You! Cold sweat started to appear on Gu Chaoji's forehead. Under Zhao Feng's gaze, the fear in his heart started to spread. He didn't dare to doubt that Zhao Feng had the ability to start a massacre. Earth's Spirit Hall's group fell into a momentary silence. Maybe it was because of Zhao Feng's unfathomable strength, or maybe it was because of his speed. However, would a group from a 3-star power be scared by a junior that had just become a king? The answer was obvious.